Alright, what's up, gamers? How's everybody doing today? Ugh, I had a slow start today. It's almost like 1:15 here on the west coast of the United States, and I just had lunch, took a shower, and now this is like the first real thing we're doing today. Very exciting. I'm gonna go over the faction pack today. I'm gonna move this closer to my mouth. Hopefully that makes me a little bit louder. Um, yeah, so new stuff coming out. I have not read any of the new faction pack yet. I've seen, chat a little bit on Reddit. Turn up my outbound. I'm so high and I can put this closer to my mouth. That'll probably be the biggest thing. I'm up like a billion decibels. And I have not changed anything since the last stream, and everyone told me I was fine then. So, we'll see. Let's see. Maybe I can screw around with this. Turn this down a little bit. Now I sound less loud to myself, which is, shouldn't be affecting anything over there. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's always better to be too loud than it is to be too quiet, because sometimes, you can always turn down the volume. It's a lot harder to turn up the volume. Too much stuff going on. It's never been more over. I think it's gonna be all right. Anyway, so the faction pack came out. I've read some of the stuff on like. I haven't touched the keyboard at all. I know you're lying, Dorianish. It's not possible. I haven't typed a single time since I started the stream. Maybe you hear the mouse. Like when I do this, you can hear the mouse maybe. But even that would surprise me because the mouse is I feel like I'm being lied to. Oh well. Sometimes when I watch a stream recording, you are quiet. I don't I don't know. I should probably just get like someone to help me fix whatever. I also remembered very important thing. I also remembered that, as you can see, I've always, at least most of the time, let's see, I guess I can show you guys. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Not that one. That one. I recently remembered that I can do a Windows capture instead of a monitor capture. Uh, what is going on there? I don't want to mess with that. We're not messing with that. All right. Oops. uh, there we go. Not messing with it anymore. OBS. The OBS is plus 6 decibels right now. So, we'll see what happens. Anyway, faction pack stuff. I have the new 11th edition faction pack, and I also have the old 10th edition faction pack. And I know there's some stuff in here that people have been freaking out about that I promise was already there, and it did not affect the game at all. Um, so we'll see how it goes. There's Games Workshop, what do you call it? Quality assurance for their like PDFs and stuff is not very high, as we all know. Um, but anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. And we'll give more thoughts on like where I think 11th edition is going towards the end. But for now, let's just go ahead and talk about the rules. Thanks for joining it, everyone. There's almost 30 of you. It's pretty good. Okay, so this is the new one, right? This is the new one. This is the old one. You can tell this is the 1.6. We can go back and forth between them. Okay, so new stuff. Contents. Let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, so the first new thing that we have is the Abhuman Auxiliaries. This is one of the 3 new detachments we got. They showed us a couple of things in the Faction Focus article a couple months ago. Not months ago, a couple weeks ago at this point. Detachment rules, lore, blah, blah, blah. Friendly, Bulgren Squad, Ogren Squad, and Ratlings have the Abhuman keyword. So big thing here is it is Bulgren Squad and Ogren Squad. It does not say Ogren, so the Ogren Bodyguard and Nork do not have this. Friendly Commissar models can issue the Take Aim order for +1 ballistic skill and issue 1 order to a friendly Abhuman unit. So this is, well, honestly, like right away. We're already getting into like, ooh, how does this properly interact? Because, I don't know if I'll be able to show this. I don't want to use the Wahapedia site or 39k.pro on stream. I want Games Workshop to like me. Let's take a look at what the Commissar is right now. Or yeah, okay. So in voice of command, under orders, this officer can issue one order to a regiment unit. So this is already like kind of a weird wording with this immediately because I read this as when you compare it to like what the Commissar datasheet already says, where it says this officer can issue one order to a regiment unit. This officer can only issue the duty and honor, fixed bayonets, and then you can also issue the take aim. Now, my understanding of reading this is the Commissar can still issue one order to a regiment unit, but it can also now issue an additional order. So you get one order to abhumans, one order to regiment. However, that is a bit unclear, right? Like, it's not super identifiable as this, right? I think if they wanted it to only be one order to abhuman or to regiment, it would say can issue orders to friendly abhuman units instead of say issue one order, because this is again the same verbiage, the same way that they have written it out for the Commissar anyway, which is very odd. Um, yeah. So this is kind of an odd wording. I think it will resolve to the way I described it, but a little bit unclear. I don't really like this wording. This detachment has the abhuman tag and cannot be taken with another abhuman detachment. So this is really interesting because I don't think we have any detachments that are obviously abhuman detachments already. Um, there's nothing in here that is obviously abhuman. Like maybe Grizzled Company is like kinda abhuman because it does have the abhuman detail enhancement on it, but like there's nothing else that this immediately interacts with. So a bit interesting there. All right, enhancements: Sharp Eyes, Light Fingers. It is an upgrade. Rattlings unit only. When this unit is selected to shoot, enemy units have +6 detection range until this unit has shot. So basically, normally, if you've been playing any 11th edition at all, infantry beasts and swarms while within terrain pieces, and if they have not shot, they are only visible within a certain range, and that's called the detection range. Normally, this is 15 inches. But it can go down to 12 based on some stuff that is going to be released in the appendix or app that they're going to show us soon, TM. But basically, rattlings can see if something's normally hidden 15, this means that you can see them from 21 inches away. So, a little bit interesting there. Other big thing about this is it's an upgrade, so you can put it on, I think it's up to 3 rattling units. Sure. Exemplar of Duty, also an upgrade. Commissar model only. This model has Feel No Pain 4 Plus. Feel No Pain 4 Plus is a very good rule. Do you want to put on a Commissar? We'll see how much it costs, right? Like, it is a very good rule. It basically doubles the number of HP you have. So you'd go from, like, 3 effective HP to 6. Or do they have 3 or 4? I actually don't know. Commissars have 3. So basically double it from 3 to 6 wounds, which is a good rule to have. But again, like whether or not you want to do that is like a big question of how much this costs. One of the big things that we're seeing in this detachment is that there is no way to inherently, you can't attach the commissar to any of the Ogres. They're still just running around. They can join a command squad, but then they can only give one order, and it's like not very close. So it is going to be a little bit tough that way. Um, might matter for 3K games. That is true. That is true. You may be where you get 40 attachment points. I always forget that people play at that size. Do you think they missed out letting the Commissar join the Ogren? Seems dumb. You basically can't order Ogren and mechanized with this. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just weird. Um, it's kind of an odd detachment in general. Let's go ahead and like get into the stratagems. 6 gold obdurance. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase when an enemy unit targets a friendly Bulgrin squad or Ogren squad unit that is within range of an objective. That Bulgrin unit or Ogren squad attacks a target unit have -1 AP until that enemy unit has attacked. So this is just Armor of Contempt, but it's only Bulgrin and Ogren squads. Again, it's really important that they said Ogren squad here, so that you can't do this on like Cadians or Krieg that have an Ogre bodyguard in the unit. So this is okay. One of the big things about this is Bulgrin already have a 3-up, 4-up invul, so this only really does anything against AP1 attacks. Um, and it might come up a little bit more if you have that mix of brute shields and slap shields, which is I tried it a little bit. It was a thing. I don't know if I'd do it again, but it was a thing that existed. Low profile, another one for 1 CP. Your shooting phase when a friendly Rattlings unit has shot. Target that Rattlings unit. Those range attacks do not prevent your unit from being hidden. This is garbage. This is absolutely useless. Um, yeah, this is not good. Until Rattlings like change the rule where they already move, shoot, move. Um, you're going to move to be safe anyway. And then again, like one of the big things you can probably see actually that my lips are kind of orange. I just had like spaghetti for lunch. Um, one of the big things that I've been noticing about my games in 11th are like the game is really close range in general. It's a lot of fast melee, it's a lot of gun. You're generally going to be like running right up to people and shooting them. So hidden has not come up very much in my games in the first place. This might, this maybe has like some value for the Rattlings, like on your home objective if you want to use them to like screen the backfield, but that's like not a particularly interesting thing to do with Rattlings. There are better units for that that can screen better and do more. Um, yeah. So I'm not super exciting. The transports only carry one unit. Could they carry two? You could carry, at least until unless we see otherwise. Transports can carry as many units as they have transport capacity for. Um, can't see the bottom. Oh, sure. Um, interesting. Why does it do that? All right. Thank you for that, Poggerfish. But yeah, this low profile is not good. It's it's a dead stratagem. It is what it is. Stir to action, 1 CP. Your opponent's shooting phase when an enemy unit that targeted a friendly unengaged Bulgrin Squad or Ogre Squad unit has shot. That Bulgrin Squad or Ogre Squad unit can make a surge move of up to D6. So this is okay. All right, this is definitely a stratagem that is actually more relevant now. Surge moves in general are pretty darn good in 11th edition. One of the big things about them, of course, is because engagement range has gone from 1 inch to 2 inches. Basically, all surge moves have gotten a +1 to them because the comparison, right? All charge moves are at an effective -1 from where they were before, but all surge moves are at a +1. So if you compare this to the way that surge moves worked in 10th edition, this is basically d6 +1 from what we're used to, and that is a lot of range, right? Normally, if you were playing up against something that could surge d6, you need to stand 7 inches away if you wanted to guarantee that you were not going to get bonked by the surge. Now it's surge d6 +1, so you need to be 8 inches away if you want to make sure that your opponent cannot get into you, which is very far. And then you have things like the World Leaders Berserkers, which surge d6 +2. So you need to be 8, 9, you need to be 10 inches away from Berserkers if you want to guarantee that they cannot surge into you. So that is very far. And then the new Gore track, not new, but like my buddy's been playing it a little bit more. Gore track Onslaught, where you can disembark, so you go 3, and then you can surge d6 +2, so you're going 5 plus d6. So in order to guarantee that you cannot get surged into by Gore track, you need to be 13 inches away, which is very, very far. So surge moves in general, like this is definitely the most interesting thing about this detachment in general, is this one stratagem is very, very good. I don't know off the top of my head what the disposition of this is. I will check. I will find it towards the end of the. Maybe I can just do it now. Is it in the article? Does anyone know where they put the dispositions? Did they put it here? They did. Add human auxiliaries. Taken hold. So this being taken hold is like kind of interesting. You do just want to get the Bulgrin. It kind of tells you like go get the Bulgrin on the objectives. I don't know what I would play this with immediately because we have all this stuff. You could play an armored infantry, but it's like not that interesting. You can't combine it with combined arms or grizzled. Hammer the Emperor, Maybe that's like a very loose maybe. Mechanized assault, eh. Siege regiment, maybe this is it. Like maybe you wanted to play siege regiment with that human auxiliaries. That's something like probably worth trying, but it's just take and hold is like a decent disposition from what I've been playing so far. But I don't know. I'm pretty unimpressed with this so far. Um, yeah. Okay, let's continue. We're gonna take a look at Bridgehead Strike next. So elite, well-equipped soldiery, launch rapid offensive to secure key targets. There is not a tag on this one. So this one says abhuman. This one does not have anything above it. So Bridgehead Strike is just can be taken with anything they have detachment points for. Starting off, Fire Zone Purge. If a friendly Militarum Tempestus officer model is your warlord, friendly Tempestus Scion units have battle line and +1 OC. So this is this is a decent rule, right? Just having +1 OC on a bunch of Scions is not bad. It is important to note that this does not apply to Aquilons. This does. Ooh. So if you had Tempestus Scions join to Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, I think that also gives them +1 OC. They do not have the Tempestus Scions keyword themselves, but the way that keyword sharing works. Friendly Tempestus Scions units. Yeah, okay. So this won't let you take 6 command squads. We've already heard lots of stuff about how like keyword sharing happens after you like build your data sheets. Um, but it should give them the +1 OC because that's something that is happening during the game. So that is nice. That unit goes from being, if you have 5 Scions plus a command squad, that was 10 OC before. Now if you have this and you have them as your warlord, you go up to 20 OC, and you can take a flag as well, so you can have those 10 models be 30 OC, and you can order them duty and honor. So that could be like 10 models being 40 OC, which is a lot and not usually not that relevant, but cool to know that you can just be like 40 OC. Thank you very much. Yeah. You won't be able to take you won't be able to take 6 command squads, but you should be able to take 6 Scion units. I don't know if you would, but you can, and +1 OC. Alright. When a friendly Militarum Tempestus unit is selected to shoot, if that unit was set up this turn, that unit's range attacks have +1 to hit rolls. That's pretty good. This is just copy over from the current Bridgehead, the 10th edition Bridgehead rule, where, when you drop, you get +1 to hit instead of +1 to wound, like it used to be. But +1 to hit is better. It is way better in 11th than it is in 10th, because in 10th, cover is going to be giving you that +1 to your saves. This, in 11th edition, it goes from, it becomes -1 to hit for the attacking unit, or -1 ballistic skill, more accurately. So having this counteracts, it is going to basically be ignoring cover, and then all of like the AP1, if you have the hotshot volley guns or the hotshot las guns, the AP1 actually does matter now. So it is a pretty big deal. This is a very good rule. This one is like okay, like this is decent. I wouldn't take it on its own, but this immediately makes you go, Bridgehead is starting to look pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna remember to scroll down so that Poggerfish doesn't yell at me again. Enhancements: Bombast class Vox Array, Militarum Tempestus officer model only. When this model issues an order, if this unit has the Master Vox Warrior ability, this model can issue that order to up to 3 different regiment units instead of only 1. So this is basically the same as it currently exists in Bridgehead. In 10th edition, this costs, I think it's 30, maybe 35. Does it say in here? Bridgehead Strike. Enhancements. There's currently 35 points in 10th edition. But this is a lot weaker in 11th edition because it's a lot harder. One of the big things that you would do in Bridgehead in 10th edition is this would be your up-down unit. This would be the one that you are trying to protect, that you're going to drop in a very safe location. You would give it volley guns. It would be taking long-range engagements, trying to pick stuff off, and then you would pick it up so that next turn it could come down and give 3 orders again. You can't do that anymore because, as we'll get to, the new or the up-down stratagem doesn't exist. So this is going to come down. This might be something like your, the guy that like hangs out on your home objective for a little while, and then and then it's going to be able to do all kinds of cool stuff. So this is okay. In 10th edition, 35 is a little expensive. I wish it was 30. However, in 11th edition, I don't think this is going to be worth 35 points. I don't think I'd pay more than I think I'd pay 20. I think I'd pay 20 for this would be my guess. At least based on current points. All right, Party Drop Beacon, Militarum Business Officer model only. In your first movement phase, this unit can make an Ingress move. This is okay. One of the big things about 11th edition so far is it is more alpha strikey than 10th edition was. 10th edition, there were pretty easy ways in order to protect your entire deployment zone. Or at least most, depending on like what terrain you're playing on, what matchup, and what mission you were playing on. You could generally hide almost everything in useful ways, or you either could or you couldn't. In 11th edition, that's not true. A lot of the time, you just can't hide everything. There's going to be lots of situations where you're going to be finding yourself where you just, you thought you were safe, but then something drives 16 inches and goes, haha, I can still see you anyway. So it's very, very powerful. This was not very good in 10th, but might be more interesting in 11th. How many points does it currently cost? It currently costs 30 points in 10th edition. It might be worth that in 11th. It was absolutely not worth it in 10th. But in 11th it becomes a little bit more interesting. All right, reading through Catharsis Chaser, Hotshot AP Mattering Now is very nice. Scions seem to play into 11th quite well. They have been very good in my testing so far. Armored Infantry with Bridgehead. Maybe. I think Armored Infantry in general, I've been like pretty lukewarm on. One of the big things about Armored Infantry is it really does like it has a lot of issues with order economy in my experience. You're kind of forced into taking Ursula Creed or like Lord Solar, or I guess you could do it with Yarick, but Yarick doesn't have as many orders just because you end up going really, really wide. You have so many different units in that, and they're none of them like do that much damage on their own, so you kind of have to combine them. You do really want like all of them ordered, so it's interesting. I would test it, um, but it's definitely one of those things that I would test and be like, that was fine. I'm gonna go find something that's probably a bit better. Um, Mech and Bridgehead, yeah, I do expect Mechanized plus Bridgehead is going to be. It needs more testing. I was not super impressed in my first game that I played with it, but that was, it was also my very first game of 11th edition, playing with again 10th edition points and all that. So it could be interesting. Okay, so priority drop baking may be good. This would require. We need more of the terrain layouts. I've seen a lot of them for like Take and Hold and a couple others, but there's still a lot that we don't have. Okay, on my position, end of your opponent's charge phase, one friendly engaged regiment unit. Roll 1d6 for each enemy unit engaged with your unit. On a 2-up, that enemy unit suffers d6. Then your unit suffers 3d3 mortal wounds. So this is a very different timing. One of the big things with this is it's kind of a side grade from where it used to be. What you would generally do with this in 10th edition was you would look for opportunities to heroic with a unit of Death Corps of Krieg, and then this Death Corps of Krieg unit would heroic into something and then go touch like 4 different things, and then you would end up doing 3 or 4 d6 mortal wounds to your opponents, and in exchange you would shoot yourself, like you would do mortals to yourself in order to get yourself out of combat, which was very, very powerful. The fact that happens at the end of the opponent's charge phase is really interesting because 3d3 mortal wounds is going to be an average of 6, minimum of 3, maximum of 9. So you can basically every time you're going to get like attacked in these kind of ways, you kind of expect that the guard regiment unit is just going to be dead, right? It's just going to be gone. Basically anything that charges into it is going to kill it. But this is a way for you to do damage back before they even get to swing. So a couple of things that you can do with this. One, let's say you have a unit of 5 Krieg engineers. You call on my position, and then immediately, you do d6 to them, and then you just kill yourself. So this is an interesting way to kind of strand a couple of different units. You just have to be careful that you're not giving your opponent like interesting pile-ins into new targets. But one of the big things is because it happens at the end of the charge phase instead of like in the middle of the fight phase or the end of the fight phase. they only get to do one additional pile-in. They will not get to do two pile-ins after this happens. The other thing that is really interesting about this is it's a way to if you have like a 10-man unit, say you have like 10 Catachan on a point or something, you get charged, and then you call on my position. Your opponent only has like one or two models. You can do a bunch of damage to them before they even get to swing, and then you can force them to take battle shocks over and over and over again. So this is interesting. It is not going to come up every charge phase, but when it does come up, it is going to be pretty impactful. I think it is more powerful than the 10th edition version of the stratagem after we lost the Marshal. When the Deathcore Marshal was still around, this was an incredibly powerful stratagem. And then after, where we would also just like do not that much damage to ourselves because we had the 5-up Field of Pain. Um, when we had the Codex, it became a lot worse because we didn't have that 5-up Field of Pain. It didn't become as interesting. This is probably better than the Codex version, but not as strong as the Index version overall. On my position with the Siege one, and you have mortals to two different enemy units and helps deter charges. I would have to reread the Siege one. I think that's also. I don't think that's you can probably do it. Minefield. Start of your opponent's charge phase, pick a platoon unit. So you can't do it on the same unit, but you could do it on different units. I don't think. I'll be honest. I don't think Minefield is like really deterrent at all, except into like orcs. Um, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. All right, moving on. Firing Hot. This one is 2 CP. This one I think is basically unchanged unless they change it here. Your shooting phase, when a friendly Militarum Tempestus or Kazakh unit is selected to shoot, your units hotshot las carbines, hotshot las guns, hotshot las pistols, hotshot marksman rifles, hotshot volley guns, and sentry hotshot volley guns. Weapons that target an enemy unit within 12 inches have +1 strength and AP. This is a really cool stratagem for 1 CP. I don't know if I'd do it for 2 CP. Like I already thought that in what do you call it? Um, 10th edition. I don't know why I've been really struggling to think about 10th edition that way. Um, Firing Hot, I think one of the big things. So one of the things I would really like to see with this is where is it? Not that. This. All right. Uh, Heroic intervention. I really think that this stratagem should be like heroic intervention, where you have like 1 CP, do one thing, 2 CP, do a cool thing. And this one definitely feels like 1 CP, you can get plus one strength, and then for 2 CP, maybe you get both. Or like 1 CP, pick one, 2 CP, get both. Um, I don't know. This is just really expensive. There are going to be times where you do it anyway, but CP is a little bit harder to come by because of the way that tactical objectives have changed, where you just like hang on to cards a lot of the time. You aren't discarding them for CP nearly as often, or if you are discarding them for CP, you're doing it very intentionally. So that's interesting. Blue Jake Snake, Krieg Engineers running in strapped with a bomb and then calling in another bomb on themselves. Yeah, I do really like that. What is the max DP? Yeah, you get 3 detachment points in 2K. Yeah, dude, Adam Camilleri, very cool guy. However, I think it is very funny. And I look, so if people don't know me and you only know me from my 40K stuff, one of the things that I did for a long time was I worked for Riot Games. And when I was working for Riot Games, I was a League of Legends commentator. And when I was doing this, the League of Legends commentator, you would talk about a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different ways where you have to focus on how good is this guy, or how good is this player, how good is this champion. And then one of the things that you always had to do was there's a big difference between I think this champion or this player is bad, and I think this champion or this player is currently struggling, right? The way that that comes off is very, very differently. And I think Adam, who does a lot of the commentary for the Games Workshop streams, he does the Art of War Down Under podcast. I think because he's done it mostly as a hobby, he hasn't necessarily like crossed that bridge. And what was the term? They were saying it's like highly impactful, I think was the one that people were making fun of him for. And This is not highly impactful. A lot of the stuff that they showed off in the faction focuses were not very powerful at all. And this is one of those big things where you do have to kind of go back and forth between um, letting the people who are going to be like doing the talking. You need to have the people who are talking about whatever. You need to get them to believe what it is that they are saying, and that is one of the big things that I think I found incredibly funny while watching Adam Camilleri and I can't remember his name. I want to no Paul is the guy that does other broadcasts like the GW live streams from the Games Workshop Opens. I can't remember the guy's name, but the other guy that was on there, they would like pick and choose things that they were showing, but they showed us a lot of stuff that was bad. And so watching them be like, "Yeah, this is really good. Oh, this is very cool." It's just like, "No, it's not." And you know it's not very good. And I thought that was really really funny. So trying to get them to go back and forth you do need to give the people who are going to be saying things a little bit more control over what it is that they're going to be talking about. And I thought that whole thing was super, super funny. Cool guy. Yeah, oh yeah. Cool guy, but he was just, I don't want to say lying. Right? One of the big things that I do a lot is I don't do a lot of like speculative content in general because I don't care. It's not that interesting to me until we have the full rules. I, you know, I don't want to knock on other content creators, but there's definitely been other content creators who'd be like, "Oh, this stuff is really, really good. You should play this list in 11th edition." So like, I'm not gonna fucking lie to you guys like that. I don't know what's gonna be good in 11th edition. I can tell you what rules I like. I can tell you what parts of the game I think are more powerful. But when I'm like, you should play the Leonard's Battle Tank because it has 4 rerolls and the objectives are really big, so there's gonna be a lot of stuff on the objectives. Like, I do think the Leonard's Battle Tank is better in 11th than I thought it was in 10th. However, what if the points go up? Like, would I play it? Would I play the Luminar's Battle Tank at 150? Yeah, I would slam 3 into every list. Would I play the Luminar's Battle Tank at 200? No, I would not play 3 Luminar's Battle Tanks at 200 unless like everything else in the army is also going up, right? And so it's like one of those big things where it's like anybody who's telling you like you should play this list, you should play this thing, they're lying, right? It's not even them being hype. It's they are they are speculating at best, and they are just trying to find content. And that's one of the things that I don't know if I say take pride in when I talk to you guys and when I do like all of the videos that I'm putting out is I I'm very focused on making sure that I'm giving you guys good information. I'm trying to make sure that everything I'm saying to you is useful and as accurate as I can reasonably make it be. And so one of the big things that I tend to focus on a lot of my videos is the concept of um, heuristics, right? I can give a lot of information that this is good enough, and like 7 out of 10 games, if you just do exactly what I told you to do, it's going to be good enough to get you a pretty decent win rate. However, it is missing nuance, right? There are going to be times where the things that I'm talking about are not true. Um, and so I generally try and aim for that like that concentration on that kind of stuff. Um, Adam is a hype guy, has to be positive for the game because it's their brand. For what it is worth, I do think Adam Camilleri is legitimately like one of those, kind of like golden retrievers, right? I'm not a golden retriever. I am much closer to that black cat part of most relationships I've been in. Steel Spider, will Demolisher be properly pointed now? No idea. I have no idea. I have no insight into what points are going to look like coming up. I have heard rumors, but they are rumors, right? They are not. I have not heard anything from someone that I would call a credible source, and there's been at least one thing that I have heard from someone that I thought was a credible source that has just been straight wrong. So one of the big things about like all the speculation that we're going on and hearing from right now is I think the famous one was someone posted on Reddit like they're already redoing how shooting works because Necrons are OP. And it's like, well, that might be true. That might have been true for like a week, and then they're like, this is dumb. Play with these points instead. And then, people only heard about the what happened when it was OP during testing and not like, oh, okay, this is normal now, right? Like they changed the points and it works out to be relatively normal. Um Hating the fog. You should play through Valkyries. We're gonna get to that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't looked at the updated stuff. Catharsis Chaser. 1DP detachments definitely feel like 1DP. They seem to have 1 to 2 useful rules, and the rest are flavor text. A lot of them, yeah. Some like to call that pessimism, but I like the no BS takes from you without any sugarcoating. Yeah, I do appreciate it. I don't, I, well, I'm sure people have noticed. I just never did an officer training school on rattlings. Not because I think rattlings are bad. Like, I think they're fine. And there are players who I would describe as good or better than me who think they're very good. Um, and then they just don't play like they're not my playstyle. So like everything I could say about them, I feel would be I don't think dishonest, but it would just be me repeating what other people have said, which there is value to. But I don't make content because I think, I won't lie. I appreciate those of you who like support me, and it does make me um enough money that I can, spend more time looking for a real, a long-term employment, more longer-term career. But most of the time it's like, it's like it's nice. Points are next week. I believe I have heard the 17th. And I feel like that actually came from a Warhammer community thing. Hellhound's going up to 250 because we've been too excited about it. I hope not. Yeah. 3 LR, time to slam them. Um, yeah, this Gus guy, he keeps giving so many crazy ideas on what to buy with the Wyverns. You think Ignore Cover will turn into Ignore Hidden? I do not believe so, but it's possible. Okay, let's continue going. All right, let's go ahead. We talked about firing hunt. Let's talk about servo designators. Get it out of my camera. All right, servo designators. Your shooting phase when a friendly Militarum Tempestus unit has shot that Militarum Tempestus unit. Select one enemy unit hit by those range attacks. Friendly Militarum Tempestus unit's range attacks. The target that enemy unit have ignores cover. Oh, that felt so good until like the very last bit of it. So interesting thing here, right, is this does mean that you can't do it with the Quillons. When the Quillons drop, they aren't going to be able to like strip cover when they like drop and shoot them with the flamer or the hotshot volley gun. Don't take the grenade launcher. Um, so you can't do that. That would be really really cool, kind of like a Pathfinder ability in Tau, where like they uh, spot, they guide for themselves, and then they shoot the thing with ignores cover. That's pretty powerful for Pathfinders. This one, the fact that it only applies to other Tempestus units is sad. Because if you could do this and you could like drop a Quillons in 1 CP, and then you could be like, and now my tank is ignoring cover against that thing, that'd be pretty cool. However, I don't think you're going to be taking enough Scions and Tempestus stuff to make this like super worth it. I think it's going to be okay. This is pretty okay. I legitimately think that like most of this, who said it? Catharsis said, like this, the +1 to hit, that's very, very good. This is, you take it mostly for this. This is why you take it. Priority drop beacon, maybe. I would need to do more testing with this. I will probably do some testing this weekend in order to see how I feel about this. This one, I think, is good, but I also think it's very easy to misplay this. So this one might be something that is better. The better, like the stronger the player you are, the better on my position will become. This one is okay. This one made me sad. So yeah. So overall, Abhuman Auxiliaries, I'd put this like, I don't know, high C, low B. Like it's the kind of thing where, sure, if stirred to action, if you take it, it's going to be probably because this is really good, or you're doing some silly stuff with Ogren and like a mechanized and like Doomhammer or something where you can get like a bunch of them all come out all at once, and then you're like, haha, here's my Ogren hitting threes. This one, I think this is a build around. This is probably like an A tier. One point detachment. It might even be an S tier 1 point detachment. It is really, really good. However, it is mostly just because it makes your Scions hit on twos, which is very, very powerful. Are Chem Cannons worth it now on Hellhounds? Maybe. I So to be honest with you guys, kind of like we were talking about before, where I don't do a ton of speculation. Um, during my 11th edition games, I've kind of gone out of my way to play data sheets that I thought were bad. So like an easy example of this was I played a game with two Eradicators, and the Eradicators, the rule for them is if you have the benefit of cover, you additionally have -1 damage in the shooting phase. And then the main gun is D3 plus 6 shots at 712, ignores cover. So, for 170 points, which is 10 to 15 points less than the battle tank and the exterminator, you can get a tank that is -1 damage and is +1 hit on its main gun. The problem is the main gun still sucks. It's it's 7 to 9 shots of 712 that hit on threes. It is okay at killing Marines. However, the fact that it only has rerolls in Grizzled Company, and it is like still it's not that difficult to kill because most of the things that are going to be shooting at our tanks anyway are going to be D6 damage weapons. It's like, the las cannon going from D6 plus 1 to D6 is like it takes like an extra third of a las cannon to kill you. So there are going to be times where the -1 damage is going to come up, but it's really hard to control when they are. If we go into a meta where there's a lot of like 3 damage, or 2 damage, and people start really focusing on the plasma, then it will become more interesting. But it's also, with cover being the -1 ballistic skill everywhere, like it's just not going to be as good. Um, Random account. Why would someone use an Aquila on our Science Squad to mark unit? We could just kill them the first time. Agreed. That's one of the big reasons, especially because you need a second Scion or Aquila squad to do them. Kim cannons may be good. Yeah, they might be. They are better than they were in 10th edition because the Rangers are going to be shorter, and the fact that it does not ignore cover doesn't matter because it is already AP2, and saves are not affected by cover anymore. Yeah. Yeah, we will see sponsons cost. I don't expect sponsons to cost anything, but that is speculation. That is a guess. I do not know that either way. Anyway, Bridgehead, very good. Abhuman, okay. All right, third one, designation for is unique tag recon. So we're expecting that we don't have all the we don't have all the tags for all of our detachments, but the expectation is that this will not be played with a recon element. Crazy. Okay, detachment rules. Designated targets. Friendly Scout Sentinel and Astra Militarum Infantry Smoke units have the following ability. In your shooting phase, this unit can select one visible enemy unit within 12 inches. That enemy unit is designated. While a unit is designated, that unit has +3 detection range. So again, hidden 15 becomes hidden 18, or hidden 12 becomes hidden 15, and so on. This attachment has the recon tag, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Astra Militarum Infantry Smoke units, this is Krieg Engineers, Cadian Recon, Aquilons? I think that's it. Uh, I'm going to do a quick look. I know Scions are not currently smoke. No, no. I want to make sure that Cadian Recon are smoke. They are indeed. Okay. I don't think any of our heavy weapons stuff is. No, no. Kazarkin aren't smoke, are they? They're not. Krieg Heavy Weapon Squad, does that have smoke? That'd be funny. It does not. Ratlings? Nope. Aquilons, yes. Scions, no. Yeah, so it's Engineers, Cadian Recon, and Aquilons, which is not very much. Um, so this is mostly Scout Sentinel and Engineers, is basically what this says. Um, I have not felt this to be particularly impactful. It might be a little bit more impactful when they tell us more about the Gone to Ground rule, which will be coming out soon. Enhancements, long range scout. Upgrade, scout sentinel unit only. This unit has infiltrators. So big thing about this to remind people is that if you infiltrate, you can only use this, you can only use the scout rule if you are deployed entirely within your deployment zone. So this is scout, or this is infiltrate, instead of scout 9, which kind of is about the same a lot of the time. if you have no other infiltrators, you can consider this. But I mean, by the time you're doing this with recon, you're doing like you have ratlings, you have Cadian recon. Yeah, if you're taking this, you have Cadian recon. Like you're not taking this. This doesn't come up. If you could infiltrate and then scout, this would be powerful. However, it does not, so it's kind of whatever. Recon Star upgrade. Astra Militarum infantry platoon unit only. So, platoon again is like command squads and our battle line basically. In your first movement phase, this unit can make an ingress move. So that's actually really interesting. You could potentially take like a 20-man of Cadians or a 20-man of Krieg with a Castellan or whatever and bring them in from reserve. I mean, this is like the priority drop, right? This one is better because you have Deep Strike and you can put it on Scions who do damage. This one is maybe, maybe okay. The fact that you can do it with three things, none of them have, none of it has Deep Strike, but a lot of objectives are in the open, are rather within 6 inches of a board edge, so you can come touch them. I think it's interesting as an upgrade. I don't know how many points I'd pay for this. But it's kind of interesting, especially if you're playing like the recon or disruption, where you have a lot of actions to do, especially on your opponent's side of the board. Um, yeah, Kazakh are going. Chaff and Ogrins can ride the transports. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk more about transports in a bit. D3+3 reactive means you can box out the footprint and get back into your transport that isn't on the footprint. If they can't touch on the footprint, then they can't shoot the transport. Potentially, yeah. Trevor, little prognostication going on here. Do you think Bridgehead Disposition or Purge from the Hammer and Bridgehead Detachment combo is going to be better? Wait, Bridgehead. Oh, Priority Assets. Priority Assets is okay. It's more or less just like take and hold with extra steps. It's like do one action most of the time. Purge is easy. Purge the foe is very easy. So this is interesting. I do think the big thing about designation. Let's talk about the stratagems before we go into it. Close range detection. Start of your shooting phase. One friendly Scout Sentinel or Astra Militarum infantry unit, while a visible enemy unit is within 6 of your unit. That unit has +3. Wow. Sure. This is a stratagem of all time. That definitely exists. Okay. Triggered alerts. Your opponent's movement phase when an enemy unit ends a move within 8 inches of a friendly, unengaged Astra Militarum infantry unit. That Astra Militarum infantry unit can make a normal move of up to D3+3. So this is pretty good. D3+3 reactives are pretty powerful, right? Minimum 4, maximum 6. This will give you like when you're guaranteed, you're moving at least 4, you can plan around that. Whereas one of the reasons why like D6 reactives are kind of struggling is you just don't know. You don't know where you could be. And if the wall has like any thickness at all, because 25mm bases are, an inch is 25.4, so less than half a millimeter, which is like, your fingernails are on average like half a millimeter thick. So like you can basically imagine if a wall is thicker than your fingernail, it's going to be more than 0.4 millimeters, which means that if you roll a 1, you can't go through most walls with basically anything unless you're playing with like paper, like not even cardboard, like paper walls. Um, but the D3+3 is powerful, so there are cool things you can do with this. Kind of like Scott Cairns said, box out a footprint and then get back into your transport that is on the footprint. So that is a thing that is potentially interesting. You do just have to be careful that you don't just get shot and die anyway. So it's going to be better against like melee armies than anything else. Some smog screen. Start of your opponent's shooting phase. Target a military infantry smoke unit. When an attack targets either your unit or a unit that is not fully visible to the attacking model because of one or more models in your unit, the target has the benefit of cover against that attack. This is just smoke, by the way. Smoke. Smoke screen. Till the end of the phase, each time an attack targets either your smoke unit or unit that is not fully visible to the attacking model because of one or more models in your smoke unit, the target has the benefit of cover. So this is smoke again, if you want, right? And you can do this. You could potentially do this on like regiment stuff. So you can potentially do it for free with Ursula Creed. So that's, kind of interesting. Yeah. Oh, scrolling down so Poggerfish doesn't yell at me again. This is okay. Recon Star with 26-man Creek Blob. Interesting, potentially. Yeah. It is going to take some, like, practice and some, like, looking around at different deployment zones and different maps, which we don't have all of yet, so it's, like, it's a little hard to judge. Um, Hidden Rule 15. It starts by default, it is 15 inches. If you have not shot this turn, so if you overwatch, you lose hidden, or if you shot on your turn, you also lose hidden. But there is some way to. It's called Gone to Ground, and we don't know exact. At least I don't know. Someone out there knows. But it's like dense terrain and like partially hidden by a terrain feature or something that makes it 12-inch hidden. Um, you can take a Baneblade and have 3 units juice. That is true, Poggerfish. I had not considered that. That is a thing that you can do. Um, so anyway, one of the big things that I think is going to be the most valuable about the designation force is the fact that it has the reconnaissance force disposition. And reconnaissance is a good force disposition and is also rare. So if we kind of take a look at this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11, and we have 2 reconnaissance. So one of them is recon element, which you cannot combine with anything at 2,000 point games. The only other one we have access to is designation force. Then you take a look at sisters. They have 1 in one of their ones. And then Adeptus Mechanicus cohort, I don't know what this is. And then Skitari Hunter cohort is also recon. So it's like not that common. Imperial Knights, they have Spearhead at Arms is recon? Okay, sure, whatever. Custodes, Silent Hunters, Null Maiden Vigil, right? A lot of these are all right. I don't care about Imperial Agents. A lot of these are like kind of weird ones. Like you could do it here. I don't even know what that is. To be honest, it's one of the new stuff. But the big thing about this is in a team's context, in 5-mans, you need to have 1 of each disposition. Sure. Here, I did my thumbnail. Oh. Not that one. That one? No. Properties. All right, we're gonna show you guys this real quick. So in teams, you're gonna have in a 5-man, you need 1 of each, right? Blue, green. Sure. We're gonna use this for the darker blue, and then you have yellow and red. And one of the big things about this is you need 1 of each, right? You need 1 of every single color. And so when you're doing 1 of every color and you only have 5 players, this one is going to be contested. There's going to be lots of people who want to play Purge. This one maybe is going to be contested as well. Take and hold is pretty good. But then you have Prio assets. Prio. I'm about to sneeze, so I'm apologizing in advance. Excuse me. Recon, and then you have Disruption. And these two, you're probably going to have like 2 or 3 people want to play Purge. You're probably going to have 2 or 3 people that want to play Take and Hold. Priority Assets is like, okay, but Recon is one of these that is going to be, it's a good disposition. There's lots of stuff that you can do with it. It is just kind of expensive. Or it's not expensive. It is kind of rare. There's not that many that can do it. So normally, if we were to play like combined, bad example. Let's say we wanted to play Mech. Mech is currently Purge the Foe, but you can splash it with this in order to turn it into Reconnaissance, which is going to be a real thing that you will have to do. I do not know if Mech is going to be the best at it. Maybe, maybe Armored Infantry. If you were to splash this and turn it into a recon instead of what is Armored Infantry currently? It is currently Take and Hold. I don't think this is a very good at Take and Hold, but it might be good at Reconnaissance. And that's something that you're going to have to think a little bit more about, especially in teams teams contexts. Sounds pretty recon. Yeah. Anyway, those are some general thoughts. This is okay. The reactive D3+3 is very powerful. Um, the rest of it exists, right? Like you're basically taking it for this if you're going to be taking it more than anything else. And then also, kind of like we said, you would also be taking it for this force disposition, which is a good one. Okay. Steel hammer. This didn't change as far as I know. That does none of this changed. Didn't there? Wasn't there a page with all the changes? I swear this is the thing that they said that they were gonna do. Rules updates. Okay, page 27. This should definitely be at the beginning, but it's not. Okay. So one of the big things that they said about this is no changes are highlighted in red because it is the first one, so there's nothing to have changed. Okay. Updates. Swift interception. One transport from your army, excluding aircraft and Titanic, that is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units and is within 8 inches of the enemy unit that just ended that move. So this just changed this, all reactive moves, or all of them should have changed from 9 inch. If you move within 9, you can reactive, to if you move within 8, you can reactive. And that's just a way to change the way that it interacts with charges, right? Where before you would take a 9-inch charge if you were 9.1, but now if you were 8.9, you would have to roll at 9. So just a change there. Masters of Camouflage Detachment Rule changed to Astra, Militarum, Walker, and Regiment units models from your army have the benefit of cover. While such a model has the benefit of cover for any other reason, improve the save characteristic of that model by 1 to a maximum of 3+. Why is this same model? Oh, okay. So, this is interesting. One of the big things about 11th edition, I don't know why I keep struggling to think like 10th or 11th, is that in 10th edition, an individual model will have cover if at least one of the models in the attacking unit uh, cannot fully see the defending model, right? So models individually having cover was a real thing. 11th edition, models don't have cover, I don't think. Let me take a look. Benefit of cover. So this is the new core rules. A unit that is not fully visible. Benefit of cover. Target cannot have benefit of cover. Benefit of cover. If every model in it has this ability, each time a ranged attack targets that unit has the benefit of cover. Indirect shooting. Target, again, you target units, not models. Each time ranged. If every model in that unit has the benefit of cover. Unit having the benefit of cover. Unit A has cover. Unit B does not have cover because some of the models in Unit B are in the open. Unit C has cover. Smoke screen, benefit of cover. So yeah, so this is frustrating to read. Yeah, wow. Okay, let's go back within that. Barking, blah, 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 blah. Placing terrain within that. All right, we're going to go back. Benefit of cover. Okay. Unit has benefit of cover if every model. So, that model has infantry and is within. But again, models don't have the benefit of cover in this. Ugh. So how does this work? How do they want this to work? I think this is whoever updated this just didn't think about it very hard. Um, because this is while such a model has the benefit of cover for any other reason. So again, models don't have cover, units have cover. How does this work? Does this mean that like some models will have +1 to their save and not others? I think this is what they. I'm gonna guess that's what they intended. Um, but man, is this a frustrating thing to read because, again, models don't have this. I believe they do. Goes off. Yeah, attacking models. Attacking models can give a defending. All right, so let's let's go back and boom. So let's go back. So let's say you have attacking models. You have these 3 attacking models, and then there is a wall here, and then you have defending models like this. And if we take a look at the, sure, we'll use purple. This one can wholly see. So number 2, 1, 2, 3. Number 1 can wholly see uh entire like these entire defending models. So attacking model 1, no cover, does not give cover. A2 can wholly see this one, so no cover from A2. And then if we go to this guy here, he can't see at all. So A3 can't shoot, so it doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and reverse engineer this such that this guy, and we'll put, oops, and then we're going to put like another model over here, and this will be number 4. A4 cannot see the entirety of this model, right? There's no model in the defending unit that A4 can entirely see. So A4, when it shoots, yes, cover. So you only have cover against specific attacking models. So A1 and 2 shoot normally. Shoot normal. And this one, -1 ballistic skill here. And then 3 can't shoot. But the problem is, right, it's not that this guy doesn't have cover. It's just that he can be wholly seen. And then A4, the entire thing will have cover. So, as written, the recon element rule does nothing. Or um, rather the second part never does anything. So this needs to be FAQ'd very quickly in order to help us understand what they're trying to do with this. All right, let's go back. They removed the combat control. Yeah. No, I've already talked to Nemo about this a little bit, and we're just like freaking out. All right, draw them out, stratagem, target section, change 9" to 8". Same thing, all reactive moves. All right, effect, select one visible. Visible is a big deal. Enemy unit within 12 inches of your unit. When that enemy unit declares a charge, the enemy unit has -1 to charge rolls. This is like the weakest version of this that I've seen. Most of them, just most of them are different. I guess this is technically different from the Tau one. The Tau one is actually slightly weaker than this in a couple of ways. But this is not great. So this is weaker. This as written doesn't work. And this doesn't work. Okay. Artillery. Did this change? Roll 1d6 for each unit that's more than 12. Let's go to page 26 and just compare. Roll 1d6 for each unit that's more than 12 from every model from your army that's on the battlefield on 5 plus, blah, blah, blah. Subtract 2 from charge rolls. Subtract 2 from charge rolls made for it. Maximum number of units. Okay, so that's the same. Data sheets. Defense line, Baneblade, Banehammer, Banesword, Basilisk, Chimera. Is there anything in here that is weird? So this is interesting, at least until we get our codex, the fact that these are all still different data sheets. Ooh, Valkyrie being frame. Okay, so that's interesting. Getting command squads. Change to while this unit contains an officer model and is within range of an objective, this unit can reroll battle shock rolls. Sure, that's worse. I heard that this was in here twice. But this sucks. That's like not very relevant at all. It's like kind of okay. But wow, that's not very good. Basilisk. In your shooting phase, I think this is the same thing. Basilisk. In your shooting phase, after smallest shot, start. Yeah, okay. Sure, same thing. Catch and command squad, ranged weapon stable. I think this already changed. Yeah, it's there as well. Death Core of Krieg, the bolt gun. Yeah. Any number. So I think that's the same. Death Riders within 8 inches. So this is just being normalized with everything else. This is what people have been talking about. So it doesn't specify where it is. Sure. I'm going to pretend this doesn't exist until... Yeah, I'm going to pretend this doesn't exist, to be entirely honest with you guys. Do I lean into Purge with double super heavy steel hammer? I mean, it's going to be fun. I know some people are testing it. I know some like WTC teams are like playing around with it. I don't expect it to be good, but it'll be fun for sure. Blue Snake Jake, wait, I'm lost. Don't they always have the benefit of cover from the rule? An additional save is only if they're in a ruin. So, kind of, but again, while such a model has the benefit of cover for any other reason. So, if this is true, the question becomes with this is, do some models get the +1 save? Or is it the entire unit either gets +1 save, or is it only some models? Because as it is currently written, the only time you can get the +1 save is if the entire unit has cover. And so you'll have to, it's going to be super, super obnoxious, like going through and being like, so to go back to our example, here we would get +1 save, oops, we would get +1 save against this model, but we would not get +1 save against these models. And that really feels unintentional, but I think that's going to be how it currently works, is we get +1 save against this, but we don't get +1 save against this. I guess that's how I'm going to play it until they update it, whatever. Yeah. So the whole thing is kind of weirdly written. I think if they just change this to, while this unit has the benefit of cover for any other reason, improve the save characteristic of models in that unit. I think that's what they need to change it to, because as it's currently worded is very, very nebulous. Yeah. Okay. Going back though, Kazakh weapon stables. Like I said, I'm going to pretend this doesn't exist because we all know that this is not how it works. Kree combat engineers. I think this is the same. When enemy unit within 9 and visible to the bearer, roll 1d6 on 3 plus. That unit suffers d3 or 2d3. Yeah, this is exactly the same as it was before. Creed Command Squad. Oh my god, their pistol gets pistol. 1 veteran. Sure. Last pistol. Change. Yeah, so this one again, for anybody who doesn't know, anybody who's like newer to the game or wasn't paying attention, in the printed codex, our las pistols have a printed range of 48 inches, which is very funny. Does this change? While the fire coordinator model is on the battlefield, heavy weapons gunner is destroyed on 3 plus. Do not remove it. Did this change? I don't remember what was wrong with this, to be honest. But fair enough. Apparently, it needed to be changed at some point. Lord Solar, same thing. Regiment, Squadron, Titanic. Add regiment. Add voice of command. Oh, remove regiment. Okay, so still no regiment. Ogre Bodyguard. This is still the same. It is still a character. So this is again one of the big things. So let's go back to our handy dandy notebook. So we have a unit that is made up of Castellan. And then we also have a command squad. And this is the commander with his 4 friends. And then you have an Ogre bodyguard. And then you have 20 dudes, which I'm not going to draw individually. I am sorry. 20 dudes. So this one is a medic, right? The big thing about this guy being a character is that when we make groups, we have to do groups that are the same wounds, the same save. And then, what else? I swear there's another thing. Group. Oh, hey, look. Single group comes up in another spot. Allocation group. Same wound save and invul save. So, because of that, our first group, we have these guys and these guys. This is group 1, and then we can be like, oh, that's hard to see. And then we can do group 2, and then group 3, and then group 4. But the big thing about this is because this guy has the character, he has to come after. So we do have to kill the medic off first. So if this was our thing, we would have to do group 1, which is dudes and some other friends, and then we could do these in any order. So we would generally do group 2, and then group 3, and then group 4. That's probably how we would do this. But because it's a character, we would used to be able to like split this off and put like the medic. The medic would be down here as his own thing. Can't do that anymore. And this honestly would not change. If the Ogre Bodyguard stopped being a character, we would still have to put either the Ogre Bodyguard like here or here, potentially. So it doesn't really change a whole lot of stuff. Alright, let's go back to the chat, see what happens. Where is Siege Regiment in this faction pack? So Groners, oops. Oh. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. This faction pack doesn't have... It only includes things that changed from the codex. So any of our codex detachments are not going to be in here at all, unless they're receiving changes. So if there's no changes in this document to Siege Regiment, it still plays the same way. Crazy that Games Workshop posted they made a mistake in today's faction packs and have clarified that they made Recon 4 entire detachment points. That's true. It cannot be played at 2,000 points. Yeah, Recon... We'll get to more thoughts towards the end. Poggerfish, they never changed the Canadian Recon squad in the app right now. The Lasgun is also in their Melee profile. Let's go. Yeah. All right. Going through. Okay. Covert stealth team. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is not within engagement range, you can remove this unit from the battlefield in your next movement phase. Set it up anywhere in the battlefield as more than 8 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Okay. So really important thing again about Gaunt's Ghost is um it it doesn't clearly say there's like a here it is. Um, unless otherwise stated, they can only do so from second battle round onwards. So one of the big things about this with Gaunt's Ghost, let's go back up to priority drop, and we'll find our spot again in a moment. There it is, just faster this way. Bridgehead Strike. Militarum Tempestuous Officer model only. In your first movement phase, this unit can make an ingress move, right? So this is very clearly, you can come back in on turn 1. Then 20. Oops, not that far. I do not care about legends. So this one is a little bit weird. They still need to clarify a little bit more because we go back here. Repositioned units, which is what Gaunt's Ghost used to fall under. Some rules allow units to be removed from the battlefield and placed in strategic reserves during the battle. But Gaunt's Ghost is simply removed from the battlefield. It's not set up in strategic reserves. So is it making an ingress move? The wording is weird. This change is real rough for GSC and subnids too. Yeah, and Grey Knights, I'm sure, and then it makes a there's a lot of like questions about how this works because my my guess my guess on how they're going to resolve this is because they're not if they're not placed in strategic reserves like Gaunt's Ghost or the Cowardice or Snick Rot or the Jump or anything where it's like a teleport, the Umberlific Crystal, I believe. I'm going to guess that these can be set up on turn 1 because Ingress says your unit is in strategic reserves. But because they don't go into strategic reserves, they can come back. That's my guess. That's just entirely speculation. I don't know exactly the wording on like Grey Knights and stuff like that, but it's very odd. I think Siege Regiment with Designation Force is an interesting mix of abilities. Yeah, I'll talk more about my thoughts on detachments and stuff as we get towards, when we're done going through all the new stuff. FAQs. All right. Can the reinforcement stratagem be used on a unit that's battle shocked? No. If a unit contains 2 models equipped with a Voxcaster, can I attempt? So this is the same. Can I attempt to generate CP from a unit containing a Voxcaster? No. Okay, that's the same. This is the same. This is the same. This is the same. Okay. So there's actually not that much new. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Talk about dispositions. So one of the big things about this is I'm going to take this and put it in paint. And then I'm going to hit this so that you guys can see. And then we're going to go here. So here, we have taken hold. And priority assets, I think, is yellow. And then reconnaissance is a light blue. Yeah, I think it's light blue. Taken hold, we have green. This is green. This is yellow. Then we have purge, purge, purge. Disruption. The only one is Siege Regiment, which is a little bit surprising to me. And then we have Recon here. So, really interesting things about this. I had expected that either Mechanized Assault or Armored Infantry, at least one of them, I was expecting to be Disruption, just because that's kind of what I expect a lot of like the mechanized style detachments to be. But from what we can see here, we have 3 green, we have 2 yellow, we have 3 red, we have 2 reconnaissance, and only 1 disruption. So, we have more taken hold, which is unsurprising as a guard player. that we would have a bit more of this. And then 3, Purge the Foe. I'm surprised that this one is Purge. That's kind of its own thing. What is Disruption again? It's it's a little bit nebulous, but the idea is kind of you're going to go in and cause chaos is kind of what the idea is, or like stop your opponent from doing a thing. Um, just looking at these in general, my very initial take is that what color do I want to do this? Um, this one, this makes a lot of sense. This one is very natural. This is what I expect it to be. I expect it will be good at it. This one is what I expect it to be. I expect it will be good at it. This one is what we expected it to be. I expect it will be good at it. This one, you know, it's what I expect it to be. I don't know if it'll be good at it because it's Steel Hammer, but that's like its own thing. This one I think is going to be good, and I think it's going to be good at it. The others, this one is like okay. Armored infantry, the big thing about it that will kind of make it good is the fact that you do have the 5-up Philippine dude, so you can kind of create a castle and just say, I'm going to, like, you are not taking me off of this. I'm going to take this, and it's going to be very hard. Are people going to call them out by color? Yes. I think a lot of people refer to them by color quite a bit, actually. Um, I'm fucking with what you like to do, just position. Yeah, it's a good description. They give disruption to the attachment that discourages you from being within 12 inches of the enemy. Yes! There doesn't seem to be any support keywords. We don't really need that. Yes! That's another really, really good point. And we'll get to that in a moment. This one, I don't think this is a good combo. I think this is bad. However, one of the things that we can do with this is if we take Siege, well, let's do it the right colors. If we take Siege and attach it to Abhuman, we can do Take and Hold, which I think Siege is plausibly good. So we could play this whole thing as Take and Hold. This might be good. The other thing that immediately like jumps out to me is, and I think everybody's kind of been looking at this, is we have Mech, and then we can add Bridgehead to it. Ooh, that's kind of hard to see, but that's all right. It's yellow. That's the life we're living. And then we can play this whole thing. This is probably going to be good as yellow or as red. Like, I think you can plausibly play this as either one. Like, this is probably going to be okay. Hammer the Emperor. So we have, let's get more space. So then we have Hammer, which is another purge, and then you can add Bridge to it. And I think this is going to be really, really good as a purge play. You just have normal combined. You know, combined just does its thing. You have Grizzled, and I think Grizzled will be good. Like, you know, Grizzled is just a good detachment, so it's probably going to be fine. And then you have Recon, which is just going to be, you know, is just going to do its thing. And then I think the other thing that is going to be pretty interesting is you have Armored Infantry, spelled with a U because they're British. And then I think if you add this to Designation, this might be interesting. Because I don't think you want to play Armored as Take and Hold. I think you'd rather play it as something else. So this might be good at Recon, because you just have so many units that you're going to be pretty good at like doing all the actions. And I think another one is if you were to play Armor plus Bridge, and then play this as priority assets. I think this is also potentially pretty good. So overall, I think they're like these are the ones that jump out to me as like, yeah, that seems interesting. Something I found that's actually really nice is when your 3 1-pointers have dispos that don't match with the rest of your detachments, meaning that you always have the option to swap up dispositions. Yeah, I can definitely see that. So one of the big things, kind of like we've looked at, is we have 3 Purge the Foes, but we can like change this to any of the other ones if we want to. The take and hold is a little bit tougher because we already do have combined arms and armored infantry that are already take and hold. So they don't necessarily want to do it as much. And then designation force being reconnaissance is nice because we can just turn anything into a recon. Starting to feel like magic. Siege and abhuman equals Simic. I can definitely see that. I've already started hearing different people call different things different things. Like I've heard what do you call it? Mechanized assault plus abhuman auxiliaries. I've heard people calling it rat mech. Mech bridge. I haven't heard like fun names for yet, but that's going to be something that's going to have a lot of opportunities to do it. My big thing, I'll be honest, if you start putting this is kind of go out to anyone who's playing guard. If you put good names in like your lists, I will see them, and if I like them, that could be I will start using those terms. So if you are the first one, especially if you do well with something, and you give it a good, funny name that is topical, not problematic, and funny, or just like well thought out, I will start using those. That's why we call Doombull Guard is because Gustavo is a um, he's good at that marketing, right? He's calling it Doombull Guard, and then everything else kind of follows, which is why I ended up doing that. Bridge Assault, yeah, Mexon. I don't know what Frankie just said, but it's gone now. Nothing is better than claiming a name for an archetype. Absolutely. One of the things, so like I still call in like my internal sheet that I use to like track what things are playing. I've been calling Recon Wesley's Horde for a very long time, and then the other big one is like Moreland Mech, where he's been playing like his most recent version had 5 Toroxes and then 3 Torox Primes. So it's like that's his thing. Nobody else has been doing that. So just being able to do that, and especially if you can popularize it, you can get it. You can get to name it. I'm gonna try out Steel Bridge first. I mean, hopefully it's better than Wooden Bridge. Hammerhead, I do like Hammerhead. Siege Force, that one we could probably workshop. Frankie the Tanky, someone new to your channel going through your backlog. Great, by the way. Please increase your recording volume when you stream record. I mean, I've been trying. I've been messing around with stuff recently. So hopefully this is good. But always appreciate when people try and keep me honest with that. Designated Siege. I think we're gonna have to work. We're gonna have to workshop this one. We're gonna have to workshop this one. Maybe not right now, but as people come up with like good ideas for Siege or whatever, like if there's a good like tie into the lore, like if there's a good way to like tie it to like Vrax or something like that, that'll be fun. Hammerhead taken by Tau. We can take it back from them. We can do another crusade over that direction. So anyway, these are quit shout. Look, I will continue shouting. I'm just glad that people can actually hear me. What's up, Saeed? Thanks for joining. Um, these are the things that immediately jump out to me as these are probably going to. You will probably see people at least testing these in the next couple of weeks, the first month or so. Of course, depending on what points look like, and we do not know what points look like. I've already said that Scions are good. Scions are going to be good. Recon Blades. All right. We're starting to get closer there, Blonde Demon. I do like that one. So these are all the things that are immediately jumping out. One of the things now I do want to go back. Aaron Leva said that none of our stuff changed to support, which is actually kind of surprising to me. But one of the big things about this is, of course, we can't triple stack leaders like we do have the one like orcs is one. Let's go back. Orc. Okay. Orc. So here's an easy example. The banner knob has support. I swear there is more. More track. Oh, is that it? All right, so they only have one. So they have the banner knob, which has the support keyword. So you can just put this in as a thing. However, most of the boys, is it going to be in here? No. But, ta-da. boys. The boys says if this unit has a starting strength of 20, you can attach up to 2 leader units to it instead of 1, but only if one of those is a war boss. If you do, and this unit is destroyed, the leader units attached to it become separate units with their original starting strengths. So this means that you can take 20 boys, you can put 2 leaders, so you can put a war boss and like a war boy or a pain boy or something, and then you can further attach a banner knob to it, which, what is that? +1 toughness, and 5 up invul save all the time. So like you can just stack 3 things. So I think this means you can get 5 up invul save. I don't remember what the pain boy is. He like a feeling of pain, I think. Pain boy abilities. 5 up feeling of pain. So you can just make 20 boys have a 5 up invul save, a 5 up feeling of pain all the time. That actually sounds horrifying. That sounds wow. That sounds very very powerful. Um, so we'll see how long that ends up sticking around. There's also the thing that a lot of roles that should be changed weren't touched, like certain ignore Overwatch strats. There's a possibility this gets solved in a day 1 patch. That is true. The way that I have been playing those is just assuming you can't get Overwatch at the end, end of the phase. But we will see how much that ends up changing up. Mechanized strike? Potentially. Yeah, I don't know. If someone ends up like calling it like Delta Force or something, it could be fun. Faction FAQs covered half of what they should have basically agreed. Is the Primaris Psyker going to be meta, especially with the 4-up invul? Okay. Let me see. Let me, before I go too far and start just answering a bunch of questions and start talking about stuff in general, is there anything else in the faction pack that I wanted to cover? I don't think so. Nothing immediately comes out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some questions and talk about the edition a bit more generally. Bellamont TO, is the Primaris Psyker going to be meta, especially with the 4-up invul? So I played one game with the Primaris Psyker, and I immediately regretted it because my opponent just charged in, killed the unit, and I was like, wow, that sure was an extra 60, 65 points, however many points extra, that just disappeared anyway. So I was not impressed with that immediately. However, this is a big however. One of the big things that we are expecting is that Thousand Suns and Grey Knights are going to be pretty good on release. I have heard again rumors that they're going to be going up in points, but the fact that like Paladins are looking pretty good, they've got a couple good attachments, and Thousand Suns just have a lot of ignore mods. Having that 4-up invul and the 4-up, is it a 4-up Feel No Pain? Primaris Psyker. Abilities. Wallace models in a unit, models in that unit have the 4-up Feel No Pain against psychic attacks. If these armies end up being good and end up being meta, then you will start to see the Primaris Psyker like really starting to take off. I don't think the 4-up invul is going to be that impactful because in general, the minus ballistic skill and the +1 save are about equal for the type of shots that are going to be going at our big bricks of infantry anyway. So if that changes, and if there is a lot of psychic in the meta, then I would start looking more at Primaris Psykers. But my initial expectation is that they are going to be a nice thing that we can dig into when we need to, when the meta shifts that way, but it's not something that I would be doing just because. Okay. Random account. Support might have let us double lead engineers to the command squad commissar. Not a huge loss there. Yeah, I guess that's true. My biggest thought is I was wondering if they were going to, because we are very heavily expecting that support models and units cannot be on their own. So I would not have been super surprised if it was a way for them to be like, and the command squad with the ogre and bodyguard cannot do the silly thing anymore. But the silly thing is also way less good now that you can't preserve the medic. So yeah, not a huge deal for us. Have human auxiliary plus bridgehead plus designation. Very special forces. That's a good one. Is there melee psychic? Some of it. Uh, I think like their sergeants, like the aspiring sorcerers or whatever, have psychic melee, but I think most of it is not. Psyker could be good in recon with 20 catachans with a -1 to hit strat. Yeah, okay, so that's actually a good point to bring up. So again, it is important to remember the change to cover is now a -1 ballistic skill. Um, Almost every other spot in the game that has a -1 to hit built in, like the Raven Guard Shadowmark Talon, or the Chaos Knights, whatever the Aura of Terror is called. And Death Guard had their -1 to hit contagion become only -1 to hit in melee. Almost every other army had their stuff either removed for the -1 to hit or become stealth so that it does not stack with cover. The fact that we have the -1 hit strat in recon is a big deal because we can very easily make large parts of our opponent's army -2 to hit effectively. So, really, really big change. So, like Space Marines, they hit on threes against something that has Oath of Moment. Threes re-rolling hit 8 out of 9 times, so it's like 88%, 89%. Whereas fives re-rolling is 5 out of 9, or about 56%. So that's like 30% less hit rate, right? That is a really, really big deal to go with the -2 to hit in that way. So that is going to be powerful. Is it going to be fun? Different question. Mids, how do you think the asymmetrical missions will affect teams? Will you draft just as much for disposition as you will army matchups? So, a couple things. So they told us about this in a TO call, not that long ago. I'm going to open Paint again. Paint second time. So again, you will have to, in fives, you will have to do one of everything. So you're going to have one blue, one green. We're going to pretend this is dark blue, and then you will have the purge, and then you will have yellow, right? You're going to have one of each. This might change. I've been hearing some grumblings about how difficult this is to do, especially for more casual teams. The stronger teams don't care. Like, the stronger teams will be able to do this, but the more casual teams that only get to play every so often, and then you'll have like a dad that has like one army and he only has like one list that he likes to play. Those teams are really struggling with this, so this might change at some point. However, this is very, very big. In 8-mans, for fives, you just got to do this for now and have one of everything as like your main thing. So you could have like, I don't know, this could be hammer, and this could be like Gladius, and this could be like Skitari, Hunter Cohort. I don't know what else is green. I don't know, like Warhorde, and then Disruption. I don't know. Disruption, Sisters, Champions of Faith, sure. Right, and you could do this. But the other big thing is because, like, if you wanted to play combined, bad example. Um, if you wanted to play, you also can't do Grizzled. Um, let's say you wanted to play mech, but you already have, this is actually an Ironstorm player on your team, and you wanted to play mech, which is red. What you can do is you can be like, I'm going to add the designation force, and then you can do this, and then you can take this spot. So that's going to be a really big thing. The other big thing is in eights, you're going to be able to take 2 of everything. So you'll have like, let's say you have 2 blue and 2 green and 2 red and a yellow and a dark blue. So one of the big things that you will immediately notice about this in terms of pairing strategy is, whenever you have, let's say you have blue versus green. And in this example, green is really, really favored, right? It suddenly means that you can't defend with this anymore as long as there are 2 of these still out there. Because as soon as you do this, you go, oh, well, if we defend with the blue and we have our options between 1 green and 2 green, you just go look at that and go, oh no, I lose. So coming up with the best way to do this, like instead of 2 red, like maybe Maybe this one is also blue, and you only take like one red. And trying to figure this out is going to be a really, really big deal for upcoming teams events. So, um, drafting for disposition is going to be, I'm going to guess, is going to matter more than what faction you're playing against in a team's context. That's a guess. I haven't done it yet. I have a couple of I'm setting up some scrims for like my local team, Githammer, against other teams. If that's something you're interested in, like let me know. Hit me up on Discord. I've got 2 already lined up. I don't know how many we can do. Um, the other thing I will say is if you are interested in scrimming against me and my team, I would encourage you to bring a team that you think is comfortably like top third of teams. Um, like if your team is going like 1-4 at like a teams event, it's probably not going to be very close. I don't really want to, I'm going to be less likely to accept those kind of scrim requests. All right, going back. Skunk Life, whatever is good with Abhuman is what I want, as I want to use my Ogies. Yeah, it should be a good time. Dave Jason Augustin, that's a cool name. Augustin's a nice name. Hammer and designation, the Blitzkrieg. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I do like that. All right, Bellamont TO with more unusual things. Minister Priest from Agents is a support now. Knight players can't play them as point fillers anymore. Good point. Good point. Hitting the fog. Quinn bikes are busted. I have not played against. I'll be honest. I have not seen Serpent's Brood. I have not seen Serpent's Brood in the wild at all. So I unfortunately just don't have a lot of thoughts about Harlequins in general these days. Necron Curse Legion has a -1 hit. That's pretty good. Groners, turn 1 Deep Striking Scions can now enable your artillery to hit on 4 to add to the Alpha Strike. Could be good if indirect go down in points due to the nerf. Yeah. So, alright. So my general thoughts on indirect right now are that at current points, indirect is unplayably bad. And one of the big reasons why, let's go ahead and go back to the internet. Indirect, shoot. Alright, here it is. One of the big reasons for this, of course, so your opponent always has cover, so it's always -1 plus skill, but this is the same. Like, we are already -1 to hit, it ends up being about the same. You cannot reroll hit rolls, so the Grizzled Company does not allow you to reroll those ones, so that is worse. An unmodified hit roll of 1 through 5 fails. So, by default, you're hitting on 6s, unless your unit remains stationary. I think a lot of people are going to get this wrong. So, if you are playing up against Plague Burst Crawlers or Ridge Runners, remind your opponent that if it moved, it is still hitting on 6s. And the target is visible to one of our friendly units, in which case you can, an unmodified hit roll of 1 to 3 fails instead. So, you can hit on 4s, but you still need to have orders, and something else in your army needs to see it. So at current points, the game is far, far too fast for most indirect, unless it was like entirely, what do you call it? Unless it's entirely like a buff piece. Like if Floof is still sticking around, if they have thoughts on like the Ridge Runners and whether or not having those mortars in order to ping off and get like the extra AP, and the ignores cover or whatever it is that they do, like that might still be okay. But if you're doing it for damage, like Playburst Crawlers or artillery teams or Field Runners batteries, so far from what I've seen, it has been terrible. It's just been like, wow. The other big part is because the game is like an all-out brawl. You're just fighting the entire time. It's really, really hard in order to make that work out. So we will see. If points go down, of course, my opinion on this will change. My opinion is based on current points, and my opinion can't change. However, I will say I also don't like indirect very much. So if it has to be really, really good for me to start playing it in general. Ammo 09. Where is the attachment point list for Astra Militarum like I've seen on Reddit for other factions? I can't see it. So it's not in the faction pack. It is currently in the article, and then the rest, like this will all be in the MFM. It'll all be in the Militarum field manual in the next couple, next week or so. But currently we have three that are three combined arms, Grizzle Company, and Recon, which is here. Those are all three. And then Steel Hammer, Siege Regiment, Mech Assault, Hammer of the Emperor, and Armored Infantry are all two. And then we have the three new ones, which are our one detachment points. Again, if you are just tuning in now, I think Bridgehead Strike is pretty darn good. Designation Force is mostly just the reconnaissance force disposition and the reactive move. Then Abhuman Auxiliaries is okay. This one feels like it's mostly going to be like, the Surge is pretty good. Being able to order Ogren +1 ballistic skill is okay. But like this is good. This might be good just because it has this, and then Abhuman Auxiliaries is fine. It's a choice that you can make. Who is hating the fog now? Now I'm curious. But I do know I will be hitting you guys up sooner than later. But I also know that we're gonna be playing you guys probably at campground, so we will see how that ends up working out. Mids asks, I just think some of the missions themselves within those matchups are going to affect the win percent chance too. Some of the missions require quite a lot for one side and a simple game plan for the other. I agree. Of course, we do not know. Okay, so we're gonna go back to one of my fun favorite things. So again, if you didn't know, I was a League of Legends commentator for a long time. And because of this, one of the things that I got to see was there's a lot of talk about like what defines the meta at a high level of a game. And so one of the things that people are looking at right now is a lot of people are looking at Purge the foe and going, Purge is strong. Part of it is that the game boards are open, so you can do a lot of shooting. Um, things that can go fast and shoot hard is powerful. The other big thing is the game plan is simple, so you don't need to do, if you just go in and fight and shoot your opponent, you're going to be scoring pretty good points. And the other big thing about it is, fights are close. Right, you're generally going to be playing in relatively close range. It's the hidden hasn't come up that much because most of the time you're just like right up next to each other. You're going to be shooting each other. You're going to be fighting each other very close to each other, and because of that, because you are constantly fighting, Purge just kind of scores pretty naturally. So it is going to be something that is pretty interesting to do. Overall, you will be fighting quite a bit, but and this is really really important. If we instead look at this, and this is just an example, um, Purge the Foe, Hammer the Emperor, and Mechanized Assault were both considered okay, right? Most of the community thought that Hammer the Emperor and Mechanized Assault they were fine detachments. They were not the best detachments, but they were perfectly serviceable. Whereas Combined Arms is taken hold, Grizzle Company is priority assets. So Purge, even if we accept that Purge the Foe might be the best, if we can't build a list that is stronger than we can do in Combined Arms or Grizzle Company, it doesn't matter that Purge the Foe is the best if this is just stronger anyway. And, we know that Gladius is going to be priority assets. So if Purge is the best disposition, but you can't build good list for it. It doesn't matter. The meta is going to be determined by whatever the best thing is, and everything else that is strong enough to have its own game plan, and then anything that is good enough to beat the best thing, or like has a good matchup into the best thing. And that's generally what the meta is going to be determined by. So coming up with like what the best thing to do is a really big thing. But if we look at again where you need to have 8, so you have like 2 red, 2 yellow, 2 green, and then a blue, and then a dark blue as an example for 8s. If Purge is the best and you just find the 2 best things that can play Purge, well, the thing that we need to figure out next is like, what if this guy also wanted to play Purge? Is this is this still good? Can it still play Disruption? Is it still a strategy that is going to work? Um, so this is going to be a really, really big deal, and I think it's going to be complicated enough that it's going to be hard to solve for a little while, especially it's especially impossible to solve without points. So I do think it's going to be a big deal there mids, but it is going to be, there's a lot that we need to figure out how to do. Um, what's up, Sarah? Thanks for joining. How about the Malleus Arty for the Battle Shock tests? Let me look at it again. I have not looked at the artillery team a whole lot. Artillery team, okay. Ranged weapons. Hmm. Abilities. In your shooting phase, after this model has shot, if one or more of those attacks made with an indirect fire weapon scored a hit against an enemy unit, that enemy unit must take a battle shock test. If an infantry unit is hit by one or more attacks made by a multiple rocket launcher, they must subtract one from the battle shock test when doing so. And the Malleus rocket launcher, wait, what? Multiple rocket launcher, D6 plus 3, 211 anti-infantry 3 plus. Huh. Um, this is cute. Is like, yeah, it's fine, right? Like at current points, it's just not going to do a whole lot. And we don't get any benefits from our opponent being battle shocked. At least not directly. Like they can't do strats, they maybe can't hold anything. But the other big thing about this is like there's like one or two dispositions where you care about your home objective at all. There's a couple of them where you care about your opponent's home objective, but you mostly just don't care about your own home objective. So, like battle shocking them there is kind of whatever. And if they're standing on their natural, you can usually go kill them. And you know, if I just go smash and grab and take their objective from them, I don't care if they're battle shocked because I just killed them anyway. So it's like, I don't remember who said it about the ignoring cover stratagem for the bridgehead strike, but it is just like, what if I just killed them? Right? I don't need to ignore cover if I can just kill them in the first place. So I think it's like okay. All right. Have I discussed disruption on siege regiment? Yeah, I don't think it's particularly good, to be honest. Basilisk goes down by like 15, and it would be broken and grizzled with tank orders. Maybe. You still can't reroll at all, so like the grizzled is like it's there. Um, the rule is good. The rule is very, very good. -2 to charge, so it'd be like an effective -3. So we'll see how that shakes out. What's up, Evan? Hope you're having a good time. What are your thoughts on force disposition? Which are the good ones? Clearly, Zaid, you went away. These are the ones that immediately come out to me as ones that I think are going to be, playable to good immediately. Like they may be. I think Recon, Grizzle combined are all just going to be good because they are in the detachment or they're in the disposition that they want to be. Hammer Bridge, if you did it in Purge, is probably going to be pretty playable. Mechanized plus Bridge is probably playable in either Purge or Priority Assets. Siege and Abhuman, if you take Siege and put it into Abhuman, it becomes more interesting. Armored Infantry plus Designation, I think my initial thoughts are that armored infantry is not going to be very good at take and hold, but will be better at recon. That's a guess. I have not tried it yet. And then armored plus bridgehead, just being priority assets is probably also going to be playable. Anyone else knows? Yeah, they gave Purge to a lot. So like I know like Ironstorm and Hammer of the Emperor, but it kind of makes sense to me because I don't. I could see an argument for them being disruption. But they are kind of just like go kill the opponent and then see what happens afterwards. Kunte. My issue is that priority asset seems to require a lot of mobility, ideally deep strike capabilities, except I have a themed Krieg army with mass deathcore of Krieg, artillery, and tanks. So combined arms, I guess. My experience is that priority assets you just kind of needed like one or two actions per turn, which is usually not that difficult. So I guess it depends a lot on what you're trying to do with your army, because like most Doombolt lists, I was basically just playing, basically doombolt list felt totally fine. Um, I did it in priority assets because that's what Gladius was, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of the same thing, or like the a reasonable approximation of it. So I thought it was fine. But I do think this is going to be. Oh, this is another thing is you're definitely gonna have like players who are good at whatever, right? Like purge to foe. If you just have people who just like I want to go kill my opponent, um, they can be like your dedicated purge player for this edition. I definitely have a couple people on my local team who I think are going to be purge players. But then one of the big things is I don't think I have very many recon or disruption players. In general, I don't think there are a lot of people who are naturally recon or disruption players. They're all, like they do exist and they're very good at what they do. But I don't think it's the way that most people normally think about the game very well. So this is something where me and my vice captain for like Challengers Cup and a couple other eights, like we are looking to be those players just because we kind of want to let the rest of our team just do the things that they're already good at. My vice captain and I are also two of the people who will have the most time, and will put in the most um, reps in order to like become good at like the more unusual styles. And I also think we're like two players who are like better at doing the weirder styles anyway. So we'll see how that goes. What happens if people run into a scenario where both have two different dispositions? They can't decide which to choose to get a more. So in like pickup games, you just do it, right? You're just gonna go out and do it. Um, you just agree, right? For a pickup game, just do whatever is the most useful, the most fun for both of you. For all events, you lock in your disposition when you submit your list, so you will not be able to choose at events that way. Is there an order decided? Not currently. Jack, how's it going? I saw that you guys were doing another fight night earlier today. I went to go back and watch the start of this. Looking forward to getting your insight. Yeah, hopefully you enjoy. I hope you're excited for the new edition. I've been watching a little bit of the six plus 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 stuff. Um, I always enjoy your guys' banter. It's good. Lyle, did I miss the part where you shared your thoughts on recon? Um, yeah. All right. So let's talk about it a little bit again. So we're gonna go back. So firstly, uh, what I think my expectation on how this is going to work for the recon detachment rule is that the entire unit will either get +1 save against the against an attacking model, or none of the models in the unit will get the +1 save. As it's currently worded, that's the only way for a model to have the benefit of cover is if the unit has the benefit of cover. So that's kind of my initial expectation. My other early thoughts on how recon is going to be is recon as a detachment didn't um it didn't care about this. It was never going to take this at all. And then this one you can't take it. So you just can't do either of these anyway. Uh Sometimes like Tucker Ricky in particular has preferred taking Scions in his recon list in general. So maybe he would have looked to like splash in Bridgehead Strike into his recon. But overall, recon has taken a couple like small nerfs. One, the -2 to charge got worse. So this is you point at something and make an enemy unit -1 to charge. But the bigger thing that you need here is you also need Viz. The reactive move is about the same. Going from the 8-inch to the 9-inch does change a little bit about like line of sight stuff, but not a whole lot there. I think recon in general is still very, very good. It's still, I mean, the big thing about recon is sometimes you didn't need any part of the recon element detachment to win certain matchups. There are some matchups that it did not matter. Just having like the 200 plus guard bodies was enough. And I think that's still going to be true in 11th edition. Um, the 9-inch coherency is a pretty big change that it does have to like be aware of, but this basically removes a lot of like the swing charges that people were going for, but it's not necessarily going to be the overarching change that is going to make recon bad. It's still, it didn't need it every single time. So I still think recon is going to be good. Whether or not it's going to be like the best thing is going to mostly depend on points. Um, let's see. Uh, Jack, I don't know if we've talked about it already. The indirect, you just can't. No reroll hit rolls. Period. Um, take a screenshot. Okay. Looks like someone else got it. Rat Gaming. Yeah, so I said this earlier, but in terms of people who are going to be good at like the recon or disruption style like play, I do think Floof is going to be like one of those players that very naturally just like plays this style. And he's good at it. So Heroic Pasta. That's a great name. Maybe that'll be one of our detachment combinations. Love rocking up to this halfway through. Red dots, yellow dots, green dots. It's all so clear. Dude, I love this. Look, okay. I never really knew a whole lot about Pirate Software. Apparently he's a dick, and apparently people don't like him. But he is correct about the fact that if you draw things, people will pay more attention to what you're saying. It's very true. How bad does Recon get if nobody gets +1 save anymore? We'll see. I saw something. Someone said something about like the Cadian command squad. Um. Oh, like this is the change, right? Creek command squad. But yeah, like this is so much worse than +1 save. Uh, like this is really significantly worse. Like if we could still get things to be better, that'd be very cool. But we can't. So I think that is going to be a big difference there. Recon being 3DP was fine because you didn't need anything else to make Recon better. True. Reactive command is good now, right? Ooh. Okay, reactive command needed like 6 inches. I remember this just being like the worst thing ever. Each time an enemy is set up within 9. Oh my gosh, so regular deep strike technically does work on this. The bearer can issue 1 order. You know, this is better than it used to be. Whether or not it is good enough to ever take at 15 points, it's still not worth taking, but this is a good point. This is a good point. Thoughts on Inquisitor Croyle? Maybe good with Scion so they can do first rank, second rank fire, or for blobs. So, Croyle is interesting, right? Because there's a couple big thoughts. I remember people were talking about Inquisitor Croyle in relation to Recon element. And the big reason why you didn't really do it in Recon Element is one, he only gives battle line models reroll hits. So the command squad and like the Castlin or like the Ogre Bodyguard, if you had them attached, did not get the rerolls. And you have to reroll them separately, which is a pain in the ass. Like nobody wants to do that. However, or the other big thing on why you didn't really take him in Recon Element was because he was 100 points, and 100 points is about like 16 dudes, right? That is 65 plus another 35. So like it's like 15 bodies that you can pay for by taking just more dudes instead of Inquisitor Quarrel. So that's why you didn't really see him before. However, if we start looking at Bridgehead Scions, it is interesting. The thing that we do have to look at here is again he is still 100 points, right? But he is lone operative, and he can just do funny shooting. He is something that can run around your backfield and protect it that way. So it's not my big thoughts in general. Again, about the edition right now is until we get points, play the fun stuff. Play the things that are interesting. Play the things that are going to be, that might be good. Like, easy example for me, I've played a game. Let me go through. I'm going to go through the list of, like, guard data sheets. So I thought Armored Sentinels were bad in 10th edition. I actually thought they were a liability. I played them in 11th, and, they were better, but they are still not super interesting. I played a game with Bulgrin, which I thought were not really the way that I wanted to play 10th edition 40k, and they still are not the way that I want to play 11th edition 40k. They're still just kind of slow. Um, the Cadian Recon, fucking awesome. That data sheet is so good. Um, the Katashan Heavy Weapon Squad, I did play a game with it. It was okay. All right, this is going to be heresy for some people who've been watching. I actually wonder if you can play it with instead of las cannons, because it is still just only 3 las cannon shots. But if you played it with like auto cannons, hmm. The other big thing is I don't want to play it at 65 points, but if it was like 50 points, hmm. I don't think I'd ever do heavy bolters. But like there's a lot of 65 points for just like some some like okay firepower that is also 6 OC or 9 OC. And can sometimes hit on like threes, reroll ones to hit, reroll ones to wound if you're shooting at like vehicles. Being able to put like 6 autocannon shots, hitting on threes, reroll ones to wound into a I'm actually curious. Unit crunch. Crunch. Ad hoc. Ad hoc. 6 attacks on threes, 913 into a rhino. T9, 10 wounds, 3 up save. And then we'll throw on reroll hits of 1, reroll wound. Alright, this is maybe I spoke too soon. But doing 3 to 6 damage for plus a grenade. Like if you just did this to a rhino for 50 points, maybe, and then you also like flipped an objective because you were 6 OC. You know, it's not a no. It's like a, it's like it's moving up in the world. Okay. I forgot. Can you have 4 or 3 enhancements? So in 10th edition, you can have 3 enhancements in 2K games. I don't think I've seen a restriction on enhancements in 11th, but it might still be the same. The other big thing is you can put upgrades. So like, oops, wrong one. Oh, also, Hippogriff is cool. Centaur is so dead, dude. Like, I liked it in 10th edition. I was playing around with it a little bit in 10th. It is so bad in 11th. It's just not playable. Um, all right. I don't know why this is struggling so much. All right. So here's enhancements. But you have the enhancements that are upgrades. What is happening? Upgrades, you can take 3, or you can attach it to 3 units, and they're not unique. So you can be like, I would put this on 3 different Scout Sentinels, which is cool. This is a 27-man dead. I was not impressed. It'll depend on points. I do think that the 20 plus a command squad plus a Castellan is still pretty good, or 20 Krieg plus a Krieg command squad and or Graves is still pretty interesting, but I was not impressed by the Ogre Bodyguard. We'll need to see what points look like. I'm testing combined with triple Lemur's Battle Tank to start with for guard. It was. I've been very impressed with the Lemur's Battle Tank. The Lemur's Battle Tank. Okay, so I played a game against my buddy. He was playing. Oh, what's the Salamanders thing called? Forge Father Seekers, I think is what it's called. He was playing 2 Land Raiders, and he was like, I just want to test it. And he told me, I want you to play like, what you think is a real list. And so I played a list that was almost identical to stuff I was playing like year and a half, 2 years ago when Combined Arms, like before Bridgehead had come out and before Griddle came out. I had a Rogaldorn commander, 2 Luminous Battle Tanks, 1 Exterminator, and a Hellhound. And I killed 2 Land Raiders in 1 shooting phase, and 1 of the battle tanks didn't even shoot. So it does a lot of damage. A lot of damage. It's also super awesome to say. This Melta is AP6. I don't care if you Armor of Contempt. Your Land Raider does not get a save. Here's D6 plus 2 damage. Very, very good. So the LRBT, I have been very impressed with it in Combined in 11th edition. But again, we'll need to see what points look like. I'm looking at LRBT as well. Sponson and front gun choice. Sponsons are okay. So warrior cost is going to be a really big thing here, right? I do not expect that sponsons are going to get like warrior costs. I think it's still going to be main guns for something like Scourges with like Dark Lances versus Haywire, or another good example might be the Field Ordnance Battery with the Bombast Field Gun. So the indirect is probably going to be a different cost than the heavy las cannons or whatever they're called. That will probably change. But for all of our Lehman Russes, if warrior costs do not come back, it's going to be Meltas and las cannons still. Yeah. Nah, heavy bolters are better. Heavy bolters are better than they used to be. But my God, I played them on Chimeras and was like, I hate this. It still just does no damage. Um, but you could maybe make it work. I think the biggest thing is just like every time you take a heavy bolter, so you get 3 shots of heavy bolt. Do you want 3 shots of heavy bolter or do you want 2 shots of Melta? You want the 2 shots of Melta almost every single time. Creek Heavy Flamers seem fun too. Yeah, they're not bad. They're just kind of slow. It's the big thing. You just wanted the clip. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Um, what about points going up on two of the same unit in a list? So it's a great question. I think the things that are most vulnerable to this are recon, right? If you're going to be taking, because recon starts with 3 units of 20 Cadians and 3 command squads, and then 2 Castellans, and then either a third Castellan or Ursula Creed, and sometimes you can add a fourth one. Um, I think that is very. I think Cadian 20 bricks of Cadians are like very vulnerable to getting changed for the like going up. I do not. I think maybe Roll Thorns Roldor commanders in particular are also a little bit vulnerable. The first one is probably going to be the same, but the second one might go up a little bit. Um, I don't expect the third one to necessarily go up, but we'll see how that goes. I don't re. The big thing about guard is because we have so many data sheets. So like an easy example is I was looking at Hugo Bat. He's playing over in France. I was looking at his game or the list that he took, and I looked through it, and he was like, "It's a Doombolt list, and it's got like a Thorn and like 3 Kazarkin and 2 Krieg engineers, and then for his like extra battle line unit, he took a unit of Catachan." And I was like, I think technically, like if you really, really wanted to be like super accurate, this Catachan unit should be a unit of Death Korps of Krieg or Cadians, or I think Catachan is the worst one here because you already have 5 scout units. Having a 6 scout unit that does less than the others, where it's probably not scouting anyway, probably just worse. However, it doesn't matter. I think we have so much ability to flex around laterally, where like if your third brick of 20 Cadians is like too expensive, and you instead just take one 20 man of Krieg, it's like it's not as good, but it's like not that far behind. Um, so yeah. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I do think the Kazarkin are like might be at risk of this because a lot of lists started with 2 or 3 of them. I would start almost every single one of my Grizzled or combined lists with 3 Kazarkin just because they were really, really good. They're a very high skill expression, and it meant that I could beat a lot of people because I understood how to use Kazarkin for the second or third best thing they were able to do. Even las cannons on Lumen Russes that don't have rerolls. One shot las cannon on 4s seems meh. Yeah, but is like, I mean, is 3 heavy bolter shots better? Not really. Is a flamer better? Not really. Right? Like that's kind of where it is. One of the big things and why you take um and a big reason why you take like las cannons on Scout Sentinels in 10th edition is you kind of expect that none of their guns are going to do any damage ever. However, if none of them are going to do damage, but every now and then, like that vehicle over there takes 7, like that's pretty good. Like your options are like I can kill like a Marine with my plasma, I can kill like 3 cultists with my flamer, or I can accept that none of that matters, and sometimes I will do 7 to the tank over there. That's more or less why you generally do it. You just assume it does 0 damage, and then get happy when you do any damage at all. All right. Field Learner's Battery with rockets coming out of reserve. Snap to it on command squad and ignore cover on the rockets. I mean, maybe. I definitely think there's an opportunity for it. You're definitely if if the field orange battery gets different war gear cost for the indirect and the direct fire, there will be an opportunity to play it a little bit more. So it's definitely high on the list of things I'm going to be looking at in terms of testing relatively early on. I do not have the models for it, so I will not be able to play it at my first event, but I might be able to borrow it. So that's the kind of thing that is like, that's interesting. Jax says, what do you think of Kazarkin? I'm feeling like 3x10 in Chimeras is not it. Yeah, for 11th edition, they're okay. Like, my general thoughts on 11th edition is everything that was B tier or better is still generally B tier or better. It just made like shuffled around. Kazarkin feel the change to cover a lot, right? The fact that they are hitting on threes, and they had high, like the guns you cared about are all high AP, with the plasma, which is AP3, and the meltas, which are AP4. Those AP values are high enough that getting more AP is very quickly running into diminishing returns. But going from hitting on threes to hitting on fours against targets in cover, and it's hard, like, it can still be difficult to prevent your opponent from getting cover on things, does mean that their consistency drops a lot. I sent out a unit to go, like, try and shoot at a defiler. I couldn't quite see the entire defiler. And then I rolled 2 3s with my meltas and went, those would have been winning on fours, and now they are doing no damage at all. I don't know. I'm pretty low on transports in general right now. I think the Torox is probably going to be your best transport in early 11th. So I think they're fine, right? Like they are definitely going to be good enough for a lot of things, but the super high utility because they did enough damage that they were like a reasonable threat is like I don't know if they still do that. So good, but not. My guess right now is at current points, good but not great. Nigel, hello. With how 11th and the Codex is written, can Yark join a Krieg command squad and engineers in a Chimera, and then with the Chimera special role, can you do the Yark blob order because it is an order? I also commented the question, but you're here now. Okay. With can Yark join a Krieg command squad and engineers in a Chimera, and then with the Chimera special rule, do the Yark blob order? Let's take a look. Okay, so Yark. Okay, I'm assuming we're talking about decisive command. The next order issued by this model can be issued to one eligible friendly unit within 12 inches of this model. Okay. Ooh, okay. If this is the first order issued by a unit from your army this command phase, that order affects not only that eligible unit, but every other eligible friendly unit within 6 inches of that eligible unit. That is a lot of eligible units. Okay. The next order issued by this model can be issued to one eligible friendly unit within 12. Okay. So that's uh okay, and then Chimera. What does Chimera say? Abilities. In your command phase, one officer model embarked on this transport can issue orders even though it is not on the battlefield. When doing so, measure distances to and from this transport. Okay. Oh, does that work? So we know in 11th that abilities do work while you are inside a transport. Being inside a transport does not disqualify you from doing whatever, which is always interesting. So that part of it does work. You can still pick the counter strategist. I think this is going to depend a lot on whether your TO is going to be focusing on rules as written or rules as intended. I would argue that it is intended, yes. But it is going to depend as well on the appendix and the app, like the app update that we get, where we know there's going to be a lot of like small changes going on in terms of how they like talk about like different rules and whether or not you can do certain things that we will need to have. And the big thing about it is the expectation is things like auras or things where you need to like measure between units will not work. And so I think rules as written um, this is a guess, this is speculation again, and I want to be very specific with that. My guess is that rules as written, it does not, because decisive command requires you to measure within 12 inches of this model. Um, but that feels dumb. And it doesn't feel like that's the way that Games Workshop would imagine that it works. So I can see either way. But until we have like the updated rules commentary and the new appendix, I'm not going to come down one way or another. I hope it works. Uh, but my guess is that it will not. So we'll see how that goes. Floof, always high roll. Same reason I take the las cannons on my bikes. Yeah, you just never know when you can kill something. I always accept it will do no damage, and then sometimes it just does 7 damage to the Necosaur for free. Yeah. Um. Yeah, no worries, Nigel. I mean, I like to think I am pretty good at reading through rules, but um, the Master Vox, as it is currently worded, does not work in Chimeras. Um, I say that. Let me read it again because my intuitions don't always work. Each time the officer in the bearer's unit issues an order, it can issue to an eligible unit. Man, that's interesting, actually. Um, yeah, it's gonna depend on the appendix, dude. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you a better answer right now. Historically, obviously did not work, but yeah, I would practice for now if you're playing like games of 11th before the appendix comes out. And the appendix should come out sometime in the next week, the next 7 days. We should have. I keep hearing that we will have all of the rules available by the 17th, so 3 days before the hard copies are supposed to be delivered for like the new Armageddon box. Um, I would practice as though they don't, and then when we get the appendix and we find out they do, then you can get a pleasant surprise. So I would say assume no until you know better. Um, yeah. I mean, one of the fun things that I got from because I'm in the Team USA Discord, I do some practice with them and whatnot. We were instructed to, if we don't know the answer to something, like if we don't know the answer to something, assume it works the way it does in 10th, and then afterwards, and we can find out later. So yeah. Um. All right. So we've gone through the faction pack. We've talked a little bit about dispositions. Is there anything else that I kind of want to talk about? Um. Yeah. So let's do a little bit talking about some data sheets that I've been testing out that I like and don't like. Uh, so firstly, you know what? We're gonna do this impromptu. All right, hold on. Let's set this here, and then we'll go tier list maker. We're gonna do this impromptu, and this is I'm not gonna upload this. I'm just gonna do this quickly. How do I reset this? Blah. Uh, can I put things off? Unsorted. So I'm only gonna do stuff that I have tested and I have played at least one game with. And we're going to change these. Probably very good. Seems playable. This will be untested. Seems not great. Why? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do this quickly. I'm not gonna give a ton of thoughts on all of the stuff as we go through, but I will, spend a little bit of time um talking about fun stuff because we love tier lists. Tier lists are fun. They're fun to do, and they're fun. I think people like watching them. Okay, we're almost done. All right. So in order, Catachin, seems playable. Still something I'll be testing. Torox seems playable. Vanquisher, probably pretty good. Seems not great. I don't think the Ogre Bodyguard is looking to be good. Um, Seems playable. Maybe not my favorite thing. The Death Riders I've actually been very impressed with. Despite the fact that they are mounted. Why is nobody talking about it's? We'll get there. I do not think it's very good. Uh, the Rough Riders I was not very impressed with. Reactive moves are real good. In order to control your opponent's like chargers and stuff, but the mount in general, like in terms of damage, is not super exciting. Nork, unfortunately, I don't think is particularly exciting. Deathcore of Krieg, I think are going to be very good. Deathcore Engineers, looking pretty good. The Exterminator seems pretty darn good. Scout Sentinel seems okay. Ursa Creed seems okay. Catching Command Squad, it's whatever. Rogaldorn seems good. Lord Solar seems fine. Slime Marbo, I have not touched. Actually, I haven't touched this one either. Let's not lie to people. Yeah. Okay. Hellhound seems very good. Bulgrin, I was not impressed with it. I've not. Oh, I did play this one. It was whatever. Rattlings, I did not play with. God's Ghosts, uh, still very, very good. The fact that it's harder to screen in 11th does make them better. I have not tested this yet, but I think it's probably better than it used to be. So my guess would be it'll probably end up here. I have not tested this. I mean, this is gonna go in Y. It's untested, but I've not played any super heavies. I did this one. I was not impressed. It just, you know, Fly is less powerful, so you're gonna see a little bit less of it. This one's gonna be meta dependent. I'm gonna put it here for now. Commissar seems fine. Aquilons, I really liked Aquilons. Again, screening is harder, and the fact that you get the 6-inch here is pretty good. The AP1 does matter. So especially if you can do it, if you can do Aquilons and Bridgehead, it'll be nuts. Executioner, this is terrible. This just kills itself. It's a great way for every time you shoot it, like you're almost always gonna take 3 damage, and sometimes you'll do 9 to yourself. This is fine. I have not played this one. This seems very good. I've not played. Have not played. Have not played. Um, I, did I play this one? I did not. I have not played this one. Seems not. I have not played. This one seems okay. Like I'm probably gonna put it in seems playable. I played it in mech plus bridge. It was alright. Like the signs still do quite a bit of damage. I have not tested this one. This one needs uh new warrior cost. Otherwise, it's not moving. Uh, this one was fine. Um, I played it before we had all of the like the Armor of Contempt and stuff, but I don't think that really changes it. This is eh. Uh, I'm not testing this. This one can go in Y. Uh, this is like high end of this. I'm gonna put it here. These are amazing. Uh, Whatever. This still seems fine. Still seems fine. I'm pretty low on the Chimera in general. Primera Psyker, I was not impressed with, but maybe it'll go. Commander, still good. Kazarkin, still decent, not crazy. Oh, the Valkyrie, by the way, did not get the aircraft keyword, and it did not get right. Valkyrie. It got the frame keyword, but it is still um but it is still just an aircraft, so it'll like, come in and go out, which is not exciting. I've not tested this one. This one is going to, we'll see what happens here. I have not tested this. The Cadian one is just why. Um, this one's for Gus. Have not tested. Have not tested. Very very good. Eradicator. This one was not great. In my game. I've not tested, and Seems not great. Okay, so to oh, and then we have Centaur. Centaur seems not great. Hippogriff seems good. Graves Car and Graves on Foot go up here. Yark probably goes here. Yeah. Okay, so I do want to talk about what Nigel was saying with the Eradicator. So the Eradicator, 170 points. It gets D3 plus 6 shots on its main gun at 712, ignoring cover. And then the rule that it has is if you have cover, you have -1 damage. And I thought when I saw it, I was like, this seems, seems better in 11th edition than it was in 10th. And it is. However, it's still competing with the Vanquisher, which is 145 points, 25 points less, and does basically the same damage because the only thing that the Eradicator does differently is it's got the 712 gun, which is like okay at killing Marines. The problem is you're going to be hitting on 3s into 3s. They're saving on 4s. And let's do some very quick math. Clear 2 divided by 3 times 2 divided by 3 times 1 divided by 2. You're going to average 8 shots, which means that the main gun averages slightly less than 2 dead Marines. This is not very good. Like, if it was strength 8, 2 divided by 3 times 5 divided by 6 times 1 divided by 2, you average 8 shots, then you would be slightly more than 2 Marines, because you're wounding on 2s instead of 3s. But unfortunately, the main gun just sucks. Strength 7 is a really, really bad breakpoint. Strength 8, so you can wound things on 2s, or, yeah. It also, like, you wound basically every vehicle in the game on a 5 at strength 7, which if you have access to, like, +1 to wound, becomes cool, but it's just a bad gun. +1 to hit relative to most other guns is still not good, especially because, like, the Vanquisher doesn't really care about the main gun. It's just multi-meltas running around on a rust chassis. The battle tank. I've been very impressed with the battle tank so far in my games. Reroll all hits. Objectives are big. They're also how you get cover. So just going up and hitting on 4s rerolling, very, very cool. And then the Exterminator does more damage than the battle tank in Grizzled and does almost as much damage as the battle tank in Combined. And because it's Strength 9 Twin linked, you're wounding everything in the game on 5s rerolling, which is better than 4s, or, something better than that. So it just does good damage, and it has good range. It's a pretty good tank. The Eradicator, unfortunately, the -1 damage. The things that are going to do damage to your Eradicator are going to be D6 damage weapons anyway. So, like, it's okay, right? The -1 damage not working in melee means that it's not actually more durable in melee. So if we see a meta that shifts towards plasma being better, which I don't think is likely, or autocannons being better, then the Eradicator does become more interesting. But we need to see where the meta shakes out, and until then, I'm not super excited. Heroic Pasta, can you explain why I have Aquilons in probably very good? Yeah, so Aquilons, the big thing about them is one, their relative damage improved against a lot of targets because the AP1 on their lasguns is good. And then the other big thing is it is harder to screen in general. So Aquilons being able to go back and take away your opponent's home objective quite a bit, or the fact that they have assault on their gun, so you can rapid ingress them and get into like good positions a little bit better that way is pretty exciting. And then of course being able to like drop and grenade. I think they are, if you can play them in something that has bridgehead, they do get a lot of value from the +1 hit where they go back to hitting on 3s, and they are just they end up just doing more damage now than they used to before. And they can get into good places. I also like them in combined where you can use the reinforcement stratagem on them in order to just constantly have something like dangling over your opponent's head of I'm going to 6-inch deep strike you on turn 5, which is very scary for a lot of players. It's playable and combined, I think, but it's like the 4th best Rust. Yeah, that's probably it. It's just like the Executioner has more or less fallen out of consideration. It was like okay. I played like one game, so before we started getting like 11th rules coming out, I played a game against my buddy where we went on Reddit and we both found like the first list that a new player was like, "Hey, I would like can somebody give me some feedback on this list." I played guard and he played orcs and I played the executioner and I was like, I hate this. I thought it just didn't do damage into the things that I wanted it to do damage into. Um, and then it killed itself. Like I did 9 damage to myself when I was hazardousing on ones. Just firing like 3 times. It's just, you know, you do a lot of damage to yourself. And now that damage doubles to yourself. So I would have killed my own tank in that game. It's just a non-starter in 11th edition. Unless it changes rules. So we'll see how that goes. Um, Jorge, Jorge SOS Pedra, SOS Pedra, Jorge's Os Pedra. Either way, hi Joshi, can you drop silence and shoot with the counter strategist ability with a new active player priority? Um, no, I don't believe so. Because counter strategist happens on your opponent's turn. They have not specified yet how sequencing works in 11th edition, but I don't expect it to be very different from how it works in 10th edition. So my expectation is no, but I do not know for sure. Let's see. Overwatch. Fire, Overwatch. So this still happens end of the movement phase, so it is, the same timing as your arc and everything. But because it's on our opponent's turn, if they still get to decide what the order of things are going to be, then we would not be able to do that. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Eradicator is fine. You can still play games with it. The Vanquisher, the Battle Tank, and the Exterminator are still the top three. And then maybe the Rush Commander becomes better if it gets warrior costs. Um, anyway, it does look like stuff is slowing down. I don't have a whole lot more left to do on this stream. I guess I can show you guys while kind of hanging out. I put these in my Discord, but I've been working on my elves. Let's, here, I'll show you guys. There we go. I got Asterman. I've been doing a bunch. It's not the highest quality here on this camera, but, put a lot of time to getting this Asterman done. I got my Lycus done yesterday as well. Very blue. Very blue. And there's like also like a bluish tinge to like her armor that is kind of harder to tell now actually because I ended up doing the web really, really blue. But um but yeah, and then I'm probably gonna do the other Phoenix Lords because I have like Jane Czar. I did her hair. Still need to do the rest of Jane Czar. But I had the same hair that I did with the other Banshees, and Fuegan's hanging out here. But having a new addition around the corner does make me excited to start something new. So that's kind of what I've been working on in hobby wise. Dark Elves, nah, I've been playing some Eldar. I've been messing around with Aspect Host. I That's also an interesting question for people. I have been a guard content creator this entire time. However, there's a decent chance, especially for Teams context, that I will be playing more elves in the near future. So let me know if that is stuff that you are interested in watching and just coming on the journey. Is it me or is it guard that you guys are more interested in watching? Thanks, Mids. All right, Jaco just joined the stream, so IDK if you talked about already, but any thoughts on non-bombast fuel orange batteries? So, I mean, of course, it's going to depend on war gear costs for them. I expect that they are high on the list of things that will get a different war gear cost for the indirect versus the non-indirect. And if the indirect does like cost more, or like if the points go down, like let me look at the actual field orange battery again, because I just don't know the profiles. So you have the heavy las cannon, which is 2 shots for 4 shots realistically, hitting on 5 space at 14.3 d6 plus 1. So that's like okay. So you can get 4 las cannons. Or you can get the Malleus rocket launcher, which is 48 inches, d6 plus 6 shots. So 2d6 plus 12, double blast at 611. So if you were to like shoot this, they do get the hidden because they have the infantry keyword. Um, I don't expect they'll ever have an opportunity to go up and get plunging fire, so that's not super relevant. Um, they're okay. Like they are kind of nice to just have this threat of your on your opponent. Just be like, hey, I just have las cannons. But let's see, 4 shots. Realistically, probably hitting on 4s if you are take aim and heavy, and your opponent doesn't cover. So you're hitting on 4s, winning on 3s against everything in the game. I don't know. I think that'd have to be like 70 to 80 points. I don't even think I'd play them at 90. Yeah, like 70 to 80 points is where I'd start like really looking at them. Um, I just don't think the profiles. Maybe the Malleus, the D6 plus 6, like maybe that will have some play. But again, I think that's like, what if we just did this with Aquilons instead? It's interesting. Um, do you use airbrush to prime? What primer do you use? No, I just use Chaos Black on everything, just the rattle can. I'm not that I don't know. I'm not that strong of a hobbyist. Like I think I've put more time into Asterman on just about like, you know, more I've probably put more time into this than I did into almost any of my other characters, even in guard. Like I put about as much time into Asterman as I did into like a lot of my tanks. Um and he looks better than a lot of my tanks. I think I've gotten better. Why did I pick elves? So to be honest, back when I was first starting 40K, so this was back in like 2010, 2011, something like that, is some of the guys that were in band but a year ahead of me were getting to 40K, and I asked them like, you know, I think my mom originally mentioned like, hey, some of the guys are picking up this game and it sounded like something that you'd be interested in. And I'm like, oh yeah, it does sound pretty cool. So when I was doing Googling about it, there were a couple of models that I thought were really, really cool and very, very 40K in general. And I'm gonna pull them up really quick. And the armies that I or like the data sheets and the models that I thought were really cool. The first one, I still think swooping hawks in general are some of my favorite models in the entire game. So these are what the old ones used to look like, and I fucking love birds. I love birds in general. I guarantee that by the time I'm 50, I will be, you know, I'm gonna go do bird watching stuff. And the other one was the old Attilan Rough Riders. Not because, they're a little problematic to look at. However, the idea of charging someone with a stick on a horse in the 41st millennium, I thought was hilarious. And the other one was Old Sentinel. Um, not the super old one, but the previous one. The like old walkers. I also love chicken walkers in general. Super super cool. Um, so I decided to go with guard, and I think the thing that like convinced me was one of the guys that was telling me about 40K was you shouldn't play the guard. They still use bullets, and I was like, that's hilarious. We're gonna do that. He was playing Tau at the time, but anyway. Um, but yeah, I just every all of my painting is done with rattle can and a brush. I don't have an airbrush. Um, I will at some point. I hear that they're really nice for like painting vehicles in particular, but that's fine. My second army is now Emperor's Children. They're looking quite nice for 11th. Doing a lot of hobby on that. Yeah, Emperor's Children has been pretty darn good from what I have seen. The new pile-in and consolidate rules is very, very good for Emperor's Children. So, really important stuff. Uh, All indirect gets 20 points to become the new aircraft. That is probably, you know, I wouldn't hate if indirect was just out of the game, but that's just me. Also, I gotta say, the Elf Waifu, Free Ren, great show. Love Free Ren. Birds aren't real. I love birds. I don't have Baharoth yet. So for anybody who hasn't heard, I've been working on like a self challenge that I might break soon. But I've been trying to build my Eldar army without spending any money that isn't store credit or a gift. And so I've got like 4,000 points of stuff. Ooh, focus, focus. So I got like, a bunch of swooping hawks that I've been painting up. And yeah, these are just contrast over metallic. Yeah, X905. Yeah, so contrast over metallics get you like this really nice metallic um effect that my friend did for his Tau, and now I am doing for my Eldar. And I've got, what is that? 20 hawks, 10 10 guardians, 5 banshees, 10 dragons, 5 dire avengers, 15 spiders, 19 striking scorpions, and then like 10 rangers, like 15 wind riders, 4 phoenix lords, the ranger bikes, 3 of the ranger bikes, a wave serpent, a falcon. I think I have another wave serpent that's unbuilt. I think. What is this? And a bunch of corsairs. Oh, dude, so many corsairs. Okay, yeah, I do have another wave serpent that I haven't built yet. So yeah, all kinds of stuff. I've got like 4,000 ish, maybe 5,000 points of elves that I just have never put on the table yet. So thinking Ogren might be the best choice for Chimeras this edition. They might be. I mean, my whole thoughts on Chimeras for most of 10th were like, they sure are a 60-point unit. Kind of like Slay Marble, right? Like, you're not spending that many points on this. They do what they do, and that's about it. Yeah, Xenotech with colored metallics looks more alien and cool. Yeah, I agree. I think one of the other things that's been nice about painting the elves is I've always done like my own color scheme, but I've mostly stuck to like box art colors, and they're good color schemes for a reason. Great stuff for all color shifting metallics. I'll have to take a look at it. I like the fire prism with the crystal gun if it's all colored. I also love the fire prism. Yeah, it's just a cool tank. Um, they are starting to show their age though. Like the wave serpents are like they're not great kits anymore. So we will see. We will see what ends up happening. I mostly just like prime over the like glass and like the clear stuff and going from there. Should have seen them in ninth. What an army, dude! Elves in ninth were very interesting to play against. I remember the first time I played against them. He was like playing the one where you had a psyker do an action in the middle behind enemy lines and like one other thing. But I was playing mortars, and he was like, "I am running out of things very quickly." So the game was very close for 3 rounds, and he ran out of army. I keep changing the green on Imperial Guard, though. I believe it. I've never. Actually, that's a lie. Some my Krieg are generally a green. Have I tried Yark? I have not played him in 11th. I've played him like 4 times in 10th, and he's fine. But we'll see. He's definitely something where it depends a lot on what the rest of the points costs are going to be. So I thought he was good in the I did enjoy him, but he is more difficult to use, and he's not just like I think he's going to be better in like disruption or priority assets kind of builds than like take and hold. So yeah. Anyway, gamers, we've been at this for almost 3 hours at this point. I think it is about time to wind down. Um, I don't know if painting streams. I don't feel like I get a lot done if I were to paint on stream. But if that's something some people are interested in, that's something that we can do. Nigel, did you just become a member like in the last couple of minutes? You did. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the YouTube. I noticed your name color changed there. Oh yeah, for anybody who is in here, who is not, oh, hmm? Anybody who is watching the stream and is this far in, and you are not in the Discord, um, here is a link. I imagine most of you guys are already in the Discord, but if you want more content about that kind of stuff, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look. I just have the one camera, so it would be all right. And I'm not a great painter either. Paint a mosaic on stream, it won't be a very good one, but it is something that we could potentially look to do. Anyway, gamers, it is starting to get pretty hot up here. It is starting to warm up in the Pacific Northwest. It has been very, it is that time of year where the weather is all over the place. However, I think I'm probably going to get out of here before it gets too hot. So, anyway, I hope you guys are all doing good. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye bye.